A familiar face returning to the Big Ten, Luke Fickell, former Ohio State star, assistant coach there, interim head coach, now in charge at Wisconsin. Had a great run at Cincinnati, National Coach of the Year 2 years ago. And we welcome Luke Fickell to the set. Welcome back to the Big Ten. Luke, great to have you back.
Thank you.
It's about time.
Yeah, the star. I don't know. I just became a star. It's been how many years I finally become a star. I appreciate that.
I do what I can for you. How do you think your familiarity with the Big Ten helps in this transition?
I think it starts in recruiting, just understanding the landscape and a little bit more of the Midwest and how it's grown, to be honest with you. But then I think coming in, I think that you can get a perception, right? I mean, somebody that's walking into the Big Ten that doesn't understand or doesn't recognize, like, oh, it's old school, it's all just pound and the weather. I'm like, no, there's so much more to it, the evolution of what I have seen from so many years of being a part of it. And then obviously always watching from afar. I hope and believe that obviously it gives me a little bit of that advantage to say, okay, well, if you studied every team, well, historically I know a lot about the teams in the Big Ten.
You mentioned evolution. You guys are evolving quite a bit at Wisconsin. I'm fascinated by you putting in the air raid offense, or at least hiring an air raid coordinator in Phil Longo. And so I guess what I'm interested in here is, what came first? Was it the desire to, you watch Phil and you say, that's someone I'd like to work with? Or was it the notion that I want to overhaul this offense, I'm going to go out and look for a guy to do it, and you land on Phil Longo?
Is that the chicken or the egg? Or I don't know how that works.
A little bit, yeah.
It's about people. And I think first and foremost, of having the relationship with him, trying to hire him 6-7 years before that when he was at Sam Houston State, not having any idea other than something different when it was that, but then over the last 5-6 years of spending time with him in the summer and studying and doing some of the clinic stuff with him of recognizing the person. And it's not just a label of what air raid is, but deep down inside the core philosophies, the things that we want to do. It was way more about the person and the core philosophies than it was about, well, what's this really going to look like? What is this air raid? What does that entail? Intelligent people find a way to be successful and understand whatever it is that they got to do. It's about winning football games.
Rookie head coach at Cincinnati. Now you take over your second job. Differences between then and now?
There's still, I mean, everything is still new, and I think that's the realization of that. But I think it's different, and I mean it in a way like I went into Cincinnati almost like in a firestorm, like, okay, let's change and let's do, and then I recognized there was a lot of really good things, and we were 4-8 in year one, and I could pinpoint a lot of reasons as to why, and it had a lot to do with leadership. Coming in here and spending that first month and having the opportunity to really evaluate and try to recognize the amazing things that have been done, embrace a lot of those things. But if you don't know that from afar, you can't. I mean, I thought I knew a lot about the culture. I thought I knew a lot about what Wisconsin has always stood for, but I really didn't. And that first month was so valuable.
Are there things that you learned about yourself and about how you run an organization at Cincinnati that you will bring to Madison to help develop that program into what you need it to be?
Yeah, and it has a lot to do with relationships. Mm-hmm. It has a lot to do with the dealings in and outs and dailies with young men in particular. I think that being so gung-ho in that first couple, even it's like you know, those young kids, it was so difficult, and I had such an expectation, and I don't want to change the expectation, but the way that which you can bring those guys along and in the development of things, I'm glad I've had those experiences to see some of those phenomenal players that after 3 years, what they became, or after 4 years, Desmond Ritter, just guys that obviously that it's easier to talk about because they're playing at the next level, but there was a lot more that just became really good players and where they came from, and to have a little bit of that balance. I don't say a whole lot of patience, but to have that balance of seeing the growth potential in a lot of guys.
Fick, the guys you've worked for and your mentors, it's a Hall of Fame class. Seriously. Give us the guys that you've worked for and give us one thing that you learned from those guys. It's incredible. When they read that list today.
I said that. I was so fortunate to never have to move my family and be with 3 Hall of Fame football coaches. And I could say this, John Cooper was the best at allowing his people to do what they do. Be who you are, right? Okay. I mean, I was a GA. As a coach, as a player, I didn't recognize that. But when I became a GA for that 1 year, to recognize the different personalities as coaches, and he wanted them to be who they were. To Jim Tressel of the guy that the most consistent person I've ever been around. Like, I mean, the consistency is phenomenal. And I can't even emulate. I try, but I can't even. There's no way I can be as good as that. But to understand and to recognize what consistency looks like as a leader. And then obviously Coach Meyer, motivation. I mean, to be a motivator every single day. You have 18 to 22-year-olds. I mean, like, there's things that you've got to do on a consistent basis, and it has a lot to do with the motivation.
Let's talk about Braelon Allen a little bit. Really talented guy. You have an opportunity to coach him, put him in this system. What are some of the things that you'll be able to do to be able to take advantage of his skill set while still opening it up and moving the ball, around a little bit?
A former wrestler too, So after like week 1 or 2, after my second conversation with him, when all this world, like when then we got this wrestling tie, I think it was a really a fortunate tie for us. But I think the unique thing, like I've tried to say to him, like, it's going to look different, right? I mean, but as good as you are and as good as we should be able to run the football, there's always going to be an extra person there, right? I mean, at some point in time, right? I mean, they're not going to allow you, but that extra person might be with a little more space, right? And it might not be in a phone booth. It might be with 2 or 3 yards. So between that and understanding and recognizing that you don't have to carry the ball 35 times to wear the guys out in front of you, whether it's the lineman or him, my objective, I would love to see him average at the end of the year 18 carries a game for about 140, right? Meaning that, like, if that's the case, that at the end of the year, we're going to have the best version of Braelon that we need. If you carry 30, I mean, by the end of the year, it does wear down. And you can be 245 pounds like he is and be as physical as he is, but it still takes a toll. And I think that we all have to recognize that, and he's got to be one that recognizes that as well.
You're talking about the transition to the air raid, and it is interesting with someone like Braelon Allen, where you have someone who looks at that and says, well, how does that impact me? And I've been the bell cow here. But what about the flip side when you go out and you try to attract new players? I mean, particularly when you look at the quarterback and receiver groups that you were able to attract in the portal. I mean, there seems to be a lot of people who are really excited to play in this offense. Take us through the QBs first and kind of how you see that room coming together and what you gleaned in the spring.
No, it's a competitive room. And Tanner Mordecai, obviously, who was with us, who when he came in, the biggest emphasis that we put for the whole program is nobody's going to be handed anything, right? I mean, some would assume you bring in a guy who's going into his 6th year, he's got 1 year, then you're just going to hand him the keys. And I made sure that to him, and he believed that as well, and to the team, I said, look, now, everybody's going to earn. There's no one person that's just going to be handed anything, whether it's Braelon or Tanner, but we're going to have to go about this. So the competition is what we wanted to make sure we emphasized and created, and he started that. And then you bring in Nick Evers, who's another one, and then Braden Locke, who's another one that are in similar in age, and then you still have Miles, and you have another Cole. You've got 5 or 6 guys that are in that room that create competition. And it's I think it's a great opportunity. It's a great setting because you've got an older guy that's done some things and played, and you've got some really hungry younger guys that are able to learn not just how you play the game, but how you prepare and the things you got to do every single day in that position in particular. So it's a little bit of a crowded room, as some would say, but it is a very competitive room, and I think that gives us an opportunity to grow what we're doing.
Coach, are you going away for camp?
Yes.
Off campus?
Yeah.
Did you do that at Cincinnati?
We did.
We did.
We went away, and we went away for a long time at Cincy. Sometimes for 20-some days.
Advantages?
I think there's so many things that you can do that you can't do on campus, and I mean that meaning like they're in a dorm or they're in these little. I mean that you have to spend time with each other. You are forced to spend more time. You're forced to be around guys. And when we did it at Cincy, like I would come back from a night practice and guys at 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock in the morning would be still watching film. We were off the next day. If they were at their own apartments and things, they would be gone. They'd be away from each other. They'd be playing video games. Maybe they'd go see their girlfriend. Like the things that you can do there together, just the enormous amount of time and things like that. You're away and out of your comfort zone. I think is invaluable to what we're doing.
Plus space too, right? Because you don't have a lot of practice fields.
We don't, and I think that's
Cincinnati, same thing.
Same exact thing.
Yeah,
and I think changing the scenery sometimes does some things for you as well. It gets everybody out of their comfort zone. I was just telling somebody before, I haven't been there yet, right? So it's going to be outside of my comfort. None of the coaches have been there yet. We've done site visits and they've given us all the info. but we're going to walk in there and have to adapt and adjust as well. And you're going to hear guys say, well, we got to walk this. Like, oh, yeah, you do too. So do the players. Yeah. We're all in this together. We all have to improvise and adapt, and we're all going to sleep in those little beds as well.
Hey, Mike Tressel's been really complimentary of the players that the old staff left behind on defense, and I feel like we've talked a lot here about offense, but Wisconsin's identity, I mean, it's been the run game, but it's also been a really good defense, an elite defense for a number of years. So give us a sense of how things are looking on that side of the ball.
Sometimes that's neglected, right? I mean, the hardest job might be what Mike Tressel was doing because they have an expectation and they've done things in a way that's very unique, meaning like I don't think a lot of people play with the outside linebackers like we have in the past few years, right? And so walking in here, that was a uniqueness to just the personnel that we've got and the players that we've got at those positions. So the ability for us to evolve and adapt a little bit of what it is that we've done, what it is that he's done to what it is that our guys can do best is a challenge, and I think he's done a phenomenal job of that, and that's how I'm talking about recognizing the great things and not just changing to change because this is what we believe is best. What's best is what's best for the whole group, and he's done a phenomenal job at that, and he even walked in not exactly knowing what was going to be his role too, meaning there were some things that were still up in the air,
right.
And to me, that's when you know you've got a great one.
Last question for you, particularly in light of the fact you were a star player there.
Thank you.
What's it going to be like?
Don't be laughing. What are you laughing at?
I mean, it's a fact.
Coach actually was in the league. He might know. He's probably really chuckling.
What's it going to be like when Ohio State comes into Camp Randall October 28th?
I tell you what, the most important thing is I want to make sure it's not about anything about me, anything about.
It's going to be Luke.
Well, if that can take the focus off of maybe hopefully the emphasis of how important and big the game is, then so be it. But it's still going to be about the guys on the field, and that's to me what I want. And we've talked about it. We do things on rivalries, and I'm not trying to create a new rival. We all know you have to beat the best to be the best, right? And at some point in time, you're going to get those opportunities to play. Ohio State or play Michigan, who's won it the last 2 years. And that's when you've got to be at your best as well. So there's a lot of things that go along with it. I know for me, I'll have a lot less friends, because there is no like in between, like, hey, we're rooting for you all year, all games, but then I'm not sure I got a lot of really good friends anymore. But I've kind of known that. I've only got a few select really good friends, and I would assume that they're going to be really. I'm not going to ask.
This group here, Luke Fickell, head coach of the Badgers. Welcome back again. Looking forward to seeing you guys up at camp.
And by the way, you may need to have an extra pair of shoes on the sideline when Jerry DiNardo, because he will have on flip-flops.
I'll have some shoes. I'm going to make him put them on. Don't tell him that. But I will. At least
man. It's not wrong with flip-flops.
He's had the same flip-flops since 1982.
I think maybe you and Phil can, after practice, can go walk in your flip-flops.
Oh, is it a flip-flop guy?
There's some things we got to adapt and adjust a little bit.
The Nebraska Cornhuskers getting a jump on their morning in Indianapolis as they attend Big Ten Media Days. Ethan Piper, Luke Reimer, Jeff Sims representing the Huskers, and they join me right now. Ethan, Luke, Jeff, welcome. Great to have you guys with us. Ethan and Luke, I want to start with the two of you. Ethan, maybe you could take this first, but the huge headline, obviously, with Nebraska is you got a new head coach in Matt Rhule. So I'm interested from the two of you, since you were here a year ago, give me a sense of how things have changed with Coach Rhule in charge.
The biggest thing I think is I really don't like talking about like the past. We always talk about how we learn from the past, prepare for the future. We're here where our feet are. But I could tell you kind of like what's going on in Nebraska right now. The biggest thing is that the coaches, Coach Rhule came and built and brought a staff that believes in all the players that are here. I think that was the biggest transition, is that, which was really cool, is all the coaches believe in the players that were already here without even knowing them. And that belief made us believe in ourselves even a little bit more. Just knowing that a foreign coach coming in, he really showed us that we are players that could be capable of a lot. And that kind of skyrocketed us going into fall camp this year. So,
Luke, how about from your perspective? Maybe not necessarily, and I totally respect your point of not really wanting to talk about what happened previously, but give us a sense of what's new and what's different and what's exciting about Coach Rhule and this staff.
there's a lot of structure with Coach Rhule. He runs a really, really tight ship. Not to badmouth anything from the past, like what Pipe was saying, but yeah, just a lot of structure, a lot of detail, and a lot of emphasis on a brotherhood, a unity, a family. So just trying to build that culture of a brotherhood is something that Coach Rhule stresses so much.
Jeff, how about from your perspective? I always find it interesting when someone transfers in, right? And especially someone like you. You generated a lot of interest in the portal. There were a lot of different places you could have gone. You literally, as far as I know, did not have a connection to Nebraska, correct? I mean,
no,
it just kind of, this is the place you chose to go because it seemed like the best fit. So what made it seem like the best fit?
So on my visit, I was talking with Coach Rhule and Coach Satt, and I was just listening to their goals and their vision for this year and the future. And it just aligned with what I wanted. And just the fan base, I heard the fan base is very nice and very supportive. And I just always wanted to be around a college that has fans like that, and in the college town is just, it was just the right fit.
For those who have not seen your game, describe what Nebraska is getting with Jeff Sims.
Nebraska is getting an elite passer and a dangerous runner. I'm a great leader. I would say I'm a great leader, and I'm a guy that's going to put it all on the line for my team.
Ethan, how would you describe his game?
I don't know. 7 months we've known Jeff. I think he's a guy that composes himself very, very well, and he's, like Jeff said, he's a great leader, but on the field, but he's also the best leader off the field. So.
Ethan and Jeff, you were talking about Coach Satterfield, so give us a sense for his offense, what we can expect at Nebraska.
Coach Satterfield's offense is awesome. He's a guy that he's a very big, like, just come at you all the time. Like, he's a guy that doesn't take a step back. He wants to step on your throat all the time. Very good with changing up the pass and run game. I'm very excited to be in his office next year.
How about from your point of view?
Man, I love Coach Satt. He always keeps me on my toes. He's a guy he's unpredictable. Like one day he'll come in doing something crazy, and Coach Satt, he's a good coach. He's a very smart coach. He knows what he's talking about, and he's one of those coaches that's just going to stay on you and make sure that he gets the most potential out of you.
Luke, I want to get some insight from you. Obviously, things have not gone as Nebraska fans or players would hope that they would have here over, really it's been a while, but let's just say last half dozen years or so. You weren't there for the whole time, but you've been here in recent years. What would you say to Nebraska fans about the direction of the program and what it's going to look like this year?
Yeah, I mean, not to tamper expectations, but just be patient. Like, it's the first year. But that's not to say we're not going to go out and expect to win every game. Like, we're competitors. We're going to go out there and compete. And like I said, like Coach Rhule's building a brotherhood, a culture it takes time. But that's not to say we're just waving the white flag this year. Like, we're going out to compete, and we're expecting to win every game that we play in. So yeah, we're excited for it, and I can't wait for the season.
Tell me about the defensive side of the ball. We've talked a lot about the offense, but new DC, obviously Tony White, has had a lot of success. What's that going to look like defensively? Yeah,
it's going to be a fun defensive play, and there's a lot of movement. It's an attacking defense. It's not just sit back in your heels. We're going to run stunts. We're going to run some crazy blitzes. We're going to mix up coverages and just get you off schedule. We don't want to be in the 2nd and 4s. We want to be in 2nd and 12s. Like, that's where a defense can thrive. So we're just looking for any way to get the offense off schedule.
It's interesting. The staff gets overhauled whenever a new coach comes in, but you have the same position coach, Coach Raiola. So that speaks volumes, I think, about kind of who he is and the job that he did. What have you learned from him, and how does that continuity help the offensive line?
No, it was when I heard Coach Rhule was staying, it was like I was one of the happiest moments, especially this last year. He came in, especially when he got 2 years ago, and the first thing he did was trying to establish the new culture of the offensive line. His brother played here, one of the greatest players to come out of Nebraska, but he knew what it meant to be an offensive lineman here at Nebraska, and he's been trying to restore that ever since he's been here. And the thing about him is he's the most passionate, most driven person I've ever met, and people like that are easy to play for. And it was a very smooth transition, and for him to stay here, we could continue building what we started last year.
You grew up in Nebraska, Norfolk, Nebraska.
Norfolk,
a couple
Nebraska.
Hours from Lincoln.
Yep.
You grew up going to games with your grandfather, going to Husker games.
Yep, I've been to almost every single game. Well, not every single game, but I've been at least one game every year of my life. So.
And so what has it meant to kind of play out this dream?
Oh, it's, that's the thing is every time I come into work, whether that be us winning a game, us losing a game, it's been like I've been more than blessed to be a Nebraska Cornhusker. And even to be here today, it's been awesome just to represent the great University of Nebraska. And I can't thank Nebraska enough.
So, Jeff, unlike Ethan, we mentioned you don't have a huge connection to Nebraska. I saw you quoted as saying it was a little cold when you were there in March. That was March. Has anyone told you about January? Like, have you had any conversations about that?
So yeah, when I got here, I got here in January. I was coming straight home from Florida, and it was about 80 degrees. So when I first got here, it was like 20-something degrees, and it was kind of a shock.
Okay.
It was kind of a shock. And my dad, he stayed up here with me for the first week, and that was our first time seeing snow when we got to Nebraska. And it was crazy. One morning I was going to a workout, and it was like 6 o'clock in the morning. My windshield was covered in snow. And at the time, we had got this little thing that scrapes the snow off the windshield.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was, but it was in my back seat. So I'm trying to wipe the snow off the windshield, and it's not moving. So my dad, he was already up at the time, so he got up. I was like, Dad, the snow not coming off the windshield. He was like, Jeff, that's what this thing in the back seat for. He was just getting a scraping. I was like, man, this is an adjustment for me.
So you literally had never scraped snow or ice off a windshield?
Never.
Huh.
And he told me, he said next time you got to leave your windshield wipers up so the snow don't cover them.
Yes. This is what parents are here for, right?
Yeah,
to give you guidance.
You got to give me guidance.
Yes, there is some.
And it's crazy in that moment that he knew that, because he never had to deal with snow. He a Floridian. So
right. Luke, I love walk-on stories. I sit next to, you may not know, but Howard Griffith is one of the great walk-on stories in the history of the Big Ten. Mm-hmm. Tell me about your walk-on story.
Yeah, I mean, it's a crazy journey. If you told me a couple days before fall camp, my freshman year, that I'd be, 4 years later at Big Ten Media Days, I would have been like, dude, like, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, That doesn't happen to walk-ons. So yeah, it's kind of a surreal moment to go from just being like crazy blessed to get on to camp to being the kind of the face of the program for Big Ten Media Days and representing the university. So yeah, it's just a huge honor, and it's been a fun journey. So I'm blessed for it.
Well, congratulations on all of your success. So last night, I am told, now we have people all over town here, Big Ten Network, right? With eyes everywhere. I'm told you guys went to St. Elmo's last night.
We did,
yeah.
Okay, but here's where the story really gets interesting. So I am told that after St. Elmo's, walking into the hotel, that you had a bag from Steak and Shake.
I did. Yeah.
So take me through. So I'm assuming that you were fed well at St. Elmo's, because no one in the history of St. Elmo's hasn't been fed well.
No, we ate a lot. I ate a lot last night.
But yet you were still hungry.
Yeah, well, the thing is, me and Jeff were walking past Steak and Shake. I'm like, I've never had Steak and Shake before because they don't have it in Nebraska.
Okay.
And Jeff's like, man, you gotta try it. I'm like, all right. So I'm like, we got done with St. Elmo's. I'm like, he's like, you still got room for Steak and Shake? I'm like, I can make room. So, so we stopped in, got a shake and a hamburger to eat last night too. So.
All right. So what's your critique of?
Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah,
it was like one of the best shakes I've ever had.
Steak and Shake or Runzo?
Runzo.
Ooh.
You don't think so?
You don't know the Runzo.
Yeah, I haven't tried Runza yet.
Tried it yet?
I was gonna say,
I haven't tried Runza yet.
What are you guys doing?
I'll get them right.
Yeah, you got to get me right.
You need to. This is a lot of fun, guys.
Yeah.
Best of luck this
Awesome.
year. Thanks for taking some time to speak with us.
Right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the success continuing for Maryland. They're in a great spot. Consecutive winning seasons, looking to make it 3 in a row for the first time in 2 decades. They do bring back some star power, including their quarterback, Tagovailoa. Head coach Mike Locksley is joining us now, and Locks, are so many different ways to sort this out. So your best 2-year stretch in 15 years. I mentioned been 20 years since you've had the back-to-back, the 3 straight winning seasons. You have a chance to do that. So historically, you're in a really good spot. How do you feel about where you are in this build with Maryland?
You know, I like the trajectory of the program. I like where we are. But as I've always said, we're a developmental program, so we're still working to get better. And to be able to show the last couple of years just kind of what we have become, it's good to see, but we've got to knock it all down and start over. You know, too many times people have the opinion that you can build on what you did a year ago when you really can't. You start over from scratch, and that's where we are right now.
It's interesting. We were talking at the beginning of our show, and we were talking about your program and that you lost your offensive coordinator, and then you go out and you get a guy who won the Broyles Award 2 years ago as the best assistant coach in college football in Josh Gaddis. What does that say? A large part about you, but also about Maryland and the attractiveness of this job and what you're building.
Well, as you guys know, this is a relationship business, and most of the guys that I've hired over the last 4 years, and because of the success we've had in all areas of our program, we tend to lose coaches and staff members. We're doing a great job, and that's part of the nature of the beast. And to be able to go into my Rolodex, which most people don't know what a Rolodex is nowadays, and hire a guy like Josh, who I had a chance to work with at Alabama, and bring him in, have a chance to hire a guy like Kevin Sumlin to come in and help on that side of the ball. I think it shows, or at least validates, that people outside of our program do see the value in coming to a place like Maryland.
Talk about Coach Sumlin. I mean, he brings different things than Josh does, obviously. He's been a head coach, big-time programs. What does he give you?
Coach, as you know, man, when you hire guys with head coaching experience, they take a few things off my plate. Right. And with NIL, transfer portal, roster management, having a guy like Summy kind of to bounce things off of, and he's been through the gamut. I mean, he's had great success at Houston A&M, kind of a tough stretch there at Arizona. The thing that people don't understand in this coaching profession is sometimes you learn more when you fail than when you have success. And then being able to bring in Summy to add the value that he's created. You know, you look at what he did with a quarterback like Johnny Manziel in college, and you know, from a skill set, Leah is similar to a guy like that. And so some of the things that Summy did with him and the quarterbacks he's had kind of meshes with what we do, and putting him and Josh together in that offensive the system that has had great success adds more things to our arsenal.
That's great. Last year you talked about Leah being able to play in neutral, to stay in neutral. Did he get to that point? And if so, what are the new challenges that you have that you've placed in front of him?
Yeah, you know what? He was a little better at getting the neutral and managing the emotions, whether they were good or bad. And I saw that maturity out of him. I think the next step for him was something that didn't show itself early in his career, but I thought we left a few big plays on the field in the deep passing game. Leah and his ability to do the things off platform and create big plays when nothing is there is unmatched. But the next step for him this year is the ball placement on the deep post, the ball placement on the 7 route, being able to get through the progression and not come off and throw guys open. To me, that's the next step, and we've worked really hard this past offseason to be able to take advantage of some of the big plays that maybe we'd left on the field.
Coach, you have to rebuild most of your offensive line. How far away from game ready are they?
You know what? The best thing, and this is where I always say the transfer portal giveth and it taketh, and it's giveth in that position alone for us, and I think it'll show dividends early. To be able to go get a guy like Gotti from Frostburg, to go get a guy like Corey Bullock from North Carolina Central. If you look at the way we've attacked the portal, I kind of like guys that are coming up. You know, sometimes you go and you hit some of the Power 5 schools or the blue blood programs where a third teamer or a second teamer who didn't play, he kind of thinks he's doing you a favor when he shows up on your campus. I like those guys that want to prove that they can play at this level. And with some of the guys we've taken out of the portal, whether it's Donnell Brown as a pass rusher out of St. Francis, Corey Bullock, North Carolina Central, Gotti Ayeze, who's going to hopefully be the guy that starts at the tackle position for us. We feel like we've been able to meet the needs and add some bodies there that have experience to help us get through it.
How's the NIL process been working?
Oh, man.
For you guys?
NIL, of course, Howard would bring up
Absolutely.
NIL.
Just want to know.
You know what? It's here to stay. We're navigating it each and every day. It's something new. We're doing things a little bit differently at Maryland and how we've set ours up. But our players are being set up for something special. I think they're deserving of what's going on in the landscape of college football. But somehow, some way, we just got to continue to tweak it and make it better for everybody to benefit.
Coach, you're the 9th coach that we've met with so far, and I can't believe how many coaches said what you just said, that, for instance, Kevin Sumlin can take some of the things off so you can do NIL work. How is it taking your time not every day, but what are you doing during the day? Are you fundraising?
Well, I'm doing a little bit of everything. I mean, fundraising, working with the offense, working with our defensive guys, but NIL, transfer portal, roster management is a full-time sector in itself for us, and it's definitely different. And each and every day we're working to try to create a way to control it a little better to allow me to get back in that room.
But you're right in the middle of it.
You're in the mix. I mean, you have to be. I mean, it's like being the head coach and the GM, and then working with a salary cap and negotiating contracts. I mean, it's been tough. But you know what? I'm one of those guys that when they put these things in place, it's my job to figure out how to do it and how to make it work.
Absolutely.
Your defense last year took some serious strides. Brian Williams' first year as defensive coordinator. How do you build on that?
You know what? The big thing is those kids play hard for Brian Williams, and I think it's a testament to the type of coach he is, the relationships he develops. You know, we talk a lot, and football is the greatest team sport there is. And with transfer portal NIL, it's kind of made it a little more individualized. Well, guys like Brian Williams has the ability to bring teams together, bring people together to play for something bigger than themselves. And I've seen that in the defensive side of the ball and how the steps we were able to take last year. And again, Brian put our players in the best possible position. My expectation is that we just do it a little bit better this year.
Pretty interesting to look at your schedule and see Virginia on there in the non-conference. It's the renewal of a really good regional rivalry. You haven't played them since Maryland left the ACC for the Big Ten. What does that game mean to your fan base?
You know what? Since I've been back, I've been pounding the door. I work on the scheduling with Colleen Sorum, our associate AD, the number 2 in charge of, and she worked in charge of football. And I wanted to bring back the West Virginias, the Virginia Techs. I wanted to get some of those old ACC rivalries that we had in an effort to bring the fans back. Our fans are used to those type of games. I want to play as many of those as we possibly can, which prepares us for the Big Ten gamut.
Have you been in position before where you've got a mobile quarterback like Leah and you've got a young offensive line? And did I try to get out of there a little bit too soon? I mean, are you going to have to really coach him to be patient with this offensive line?
You know what? We really don't, because the system, the way it's set up, the ball comes out of his hands really usually pretty quickly with what we do. We will take those play action shots where he has to hold on a little bit. I'm hopeful that the new people we've brought in up front through the portal, because we did have to fill the void. When you lose 4 starters on your O-line, and these guys played a lot of plays, but what I've learned and I've taken from the time being at Alabama with Coach Saban is you have to force yourself to play young players. And if you look at some of the guys that are playing for us now, like Emilio Moran, who played probably 25, 30 snaps a game for us a year ago. Corey Bullock was a 1AA All-American, a FCS All-American. Mike Purcell played at Elon, transferred to Duke. So we've got guys that have experience, but now, as I always say, August is like Christmas in August. I get a chance to really see what these guys can do once we put the pads on and have an opportunity to go through summer camp.
What's this week 1 opener going to be like for you?
You know what? It's my alma mater, man. It's they got a new coach who all that guy has done is win. If you look at what he did at West Florida down there and the success he had at the Division II level, when he got hired, I gave him a call and said, Coach, man, you are welcome up here anytime you can except when we practicing. After the first game, man, I'm welcoming him with open arms. But, no, to have the opportunity to play my alma mater, which has prepared me for what I'm doing in my life, it's a way of saying thank you, and I'm looking forward to competing against those guys.
Coach, is it fair to say that you feel comfortable with the Big Ten going away from divisions starting next year?
If you could only be on some of those head coaches calls. I'm in D.C., so I know lobbying a little bit. And I've been lobbying to get rid of them divisions for a long time.
I would guess that Tom Allen shares your sentiment. Is that fair to say?
You know, I can't speak for Tom or
Schiano.
Greg Schiano.
Yeah, Schiano made it clear.
But I can tell you that from the time the pandemic hit, and I said, look, let's just get rid of the divisions and let's just play, like pick a league or pick a game or pick a schedule. I'm glad to see this thing go away because it allows us to all get the luck of the draw, compete. I mean, from top to bottom, it's a tough league. So I'm happy about the divisions going though.
You mentioned the portal about maybe recruiting guys that came from, on the way up. Is that your niche now? I mean, have you changed anything in the portal in a couple years?
No, I think the big thing for me is, one, we're going to be a high school-centric recruiting base. Like we're going to sign high school players. I mean, I think the people that have probably taken the biggest hit has been the high school athlete with the portal. And but for us to build the type of programs that I want to have, I want kids that have grown up in our system, that have grown up in our culture, that really understand it, so that when we do reach into the portal to bring players like we have enough people to police that locker room and make sure that the culture that we've worked really hard to develop and build with the player-driven leadership doesn't go away.
Head coach of the Terps, Mike Locksley. Coach, thanks so much. Really
Thanks
appreciate
a lot,
your
man.
time.
Appreciate having you guys.
Thanks,
All right.
Coach.
See you practice here in a couple weeks. Big 10 Media Days. We got a DJ on our hands. Njongmeta. What do you got going here?
I was just learning how to scratch, trying to add to my bag as a DJ.
All right.
Something I do on the side.
All right. And how did you do? You feel like you could you teach it now to someone else?
Can I teach it?
Yeah.
I need to practice a little bit more, but I can teach some other DJ skills for sure.
All right. Njongmeta is with us, Tanner Mordecai as well, and Braelon Allen. Guys, great to have you. Maema, I want to start with you and Braelon because you guys are the holdovers who've been on this team prior to this year. Pretty big change with Luke Fickell. It's really been a crazy year. I mean, you think about going back to last year here at Media Days, and Paul Kris is the head coach. You obviously had the transition with Jim Leonard as the interim, and now Luke Fickell taking over. What has this last year been like for Wisconsin?
It's been crazy, I think. I think this year's just going to be a testimony to the hard work and the buy-in from the guys. Like you said, we've been through a ton of upheaval. And even last season, going through upheaval and still trying to find a way to win games and finish it out, finish what we started. I'm excited about what Coach Fick is bringing to the program now, and I think guys are too. And I think Braelon could speak to that as well.
Yeah, Braelon, I'd love for you to speak to that. Good setup, by the way, there. You're getting the hang of this. It's like DJing. Now you're hosting. It's very good. I do want you to speak kind of to not necessarily what happened the last year, which I think Maema articulated really clearly, but what's happening now and like what's new in the program and what excites you about the program.
Yeah, I think Maema hit the nail on the head. I mean, like he said, just that transition, required a lot of, Coach Fick would call it blind faith, just kind of putting our trust in him and what he does and, how this program is ran, not just by him, but the strength staff and all the other staff that came in with him. Just buying into that, understanding, really the method behind the madness and what they're doing. That's very important for us to come together as a team and kind of, buy into that. And I think, like he said, this season is going to be a testimony of that. I mean, we've put in the work, and we've got great people behind us in pushing us every single day.
Tanner, I think it's interesting when people transfer in, particularly someone of your stature. A lot of different places you could have gone. You threw for more than 7,000 yards over the last couple of years at SMU. You chose Wisconsin. What stood out to you about this new culture and about what they're building?
I think it goes back to Coach Fickell, just what he did at Cincinnati, the success. He's a competitor. He's a winner. He took a Group of 5 school to the playoff, which hasn't been done. And then the mixture of that with Coach Longo, I think Coach Longo is, at the top of the game as far as offensive minds go. And I think between that, Fickell, Longo, and then just a place like Madison and Wisconsin, I think it was a perfect marriage and an opportunity that I didn't want to miss out on.
You mentioned Phil Longo. How would you describe his attack and philosophy?
Dynamic. Dynamic's a good word. Through the air, on the ground. A lot of people say, Braelon's not going to get the ball as much and all this, but if you look back at his years at North Carolina, he had 2,000-yard rushers in 1 year. So, he's obviously done both at a high level.
That is really interesting, and that, of course, is part of the narrative of Wisconsin changing philosophically. And, of course, when you become a running back at Wisconsin, you know you're going to get the ball a ton historically. Give me a sense of, and you point out, like, if you study Phil Longo, you know that he runs the ball, but do they need to kind of convince you of that? I mean, what does a running back think when they hear air raid?
Yeah, it makes you pause for a second for sure. And, when I heard that Coach Longo was coming in and, he's known for his air raid offense, I took a step back. And but when you break it down, I mean, it only helps me and the other running backs in the room. That system is built for having success at the running back position. I mean, now the defense will be way more spread out, and they got to respect the pass a whole lot more, and that just opens up the box and gives us more lanes to run through. So even if I'm not getting the ball as much, I mean, I feel like I'll still be as effective, and maybe even have a higher yards per carry just because there's more space to run. So I feel like at the end of the day, it was perfect for me.
Coach Fickell mentioned 18 carries for 140 yards being the goal. Does that sound pretty good?
That sounds great to me. That sounds great.
Yeah. Do that all year on average, and you have a heck of a year. Maema, I want to ask you about the defense. And when you think about the constants at Wisconsin, I think one would be the run game, and the other one is the defense has been good year in and year out. You got a new defensive coordinator in Mike Tressel. Give us a sense for him, his philosophy, and what it's going to look like on that side of the ball.
Yeah, I think one thing I'm really excited about this defense, the new scheme, is the multiplicity of the looks that we offer. We're adding the dime package into what we're doing. We're adding the 3-3-5. We're changing how we're running our base and our nickel defense. Like, we're being able to add and provide more looks for offenses in a way that's confusing, in a way that allows us to still smother and still stick true to the tough and the nasty way we play defense at Wisconsin. I'm excited to be a part of it, and Coach Tress has done a great job of kind of getting people on the defensive side of the ball to buy in. That's hard. You kind of lose a guy like Coach Leonard, who has ran several top defenses. It's hard to beat that, but Coach Tress has found a way to get us to buy into what we're doing here. And look, there's a million ways to skin a cat, and at the end of the day, what matters the most is how bought in are guys into what we're doing, and how willing are they to execute it at a high level. And I think that's what we're looking at right now, and I'm excited.
So you hope the defense carries over. Tanner, we talked about this air raid attack and the fact that you are going to throw the ball more than Wisconsin has historically. It was attractive to quarterbacks. You got a number of quarterbacks in the portal, but also to wide receivers. I mean, it is suddenly a loaded wide receiver room. So bring people up to date on how that group's come together.
I think we have a very deep room. I think the guys who have been here at Wisconsin, I think they didn't get enough credit for their ability, because I just and the offense that they ran, I didn't think they had the capability to show what they had. They didn't have the opportunities that they're going to have this year. And, I mean, if you look through spring ball and watch how we played, I don't think it's evident that these guys have been in a pro-style offense for the past few years. And then with the opportunity to add a few from the transfer portal, I'm very excited to see what these guys are going to do.
Maema, I was looking at your family story, really interesting one. Your parents emigrated here from Cameroon so that your mom could get her PhD. How has that influenced you? How has their life kind of choosing to come to the United States, how has that impacted the person you are?
Yeah, I mean, and to add to that, I was born in Cameroon as well, so I immigrated with them as well. And I mean, all my life they just told me, hey, whatever you do, just try and be the best at it. They didn't want me to play football, flat out.
Yeah.
I was getting a C my junior year in calculus. My dad said if I finished with a C, this was when I was getting recruited and everything. He was like, if you finish with a C, we're turning your cleats in.
Wow.
And so the whole time, my whole life, education was the thing, the most important thing. And just always preached excellence, achieving at a high level. And I'm definitely the man I am today because of my parents.
We won't check the transcript, but what did you get in calculus?
My junior year,
yeah.
This is high school. I got a B-. So I barely got it in, but I did what I had to do.
Well, congratulations on getting it done. How have they taken to football, by the way? Are they more on board now?
Oh, 100%. My mom loves it. She'll call me I love Patrick Mahomes. I was just watching his games. Mahomes, my guy. She loves it now.
Braelon, you're an in-state kid. You were originally recruited to play defense. So how did that transition occur? I mean, I know you'd been an offensive player, obviously, in high school too, but they saw you as a defensive player originally. What moved you over to the offensive side?
It was really like my last, so my senior year, whatever you want to call it, I reclassified up. So that season we played in the spring and we only had like 7 games. But in those 7 games, I ran for like a crazy number of yards and touchdowns. And so it was like a month between my last high school game and when I got on campus. And Coach Kris watched my film and kind of called me like 2 weeks before I got on campus, said that he wanted me to play running back. So that's kind of how all that came about. It wasn't really – I was just open to playing whatever. You know, that's what I told him. So that's kind of how it came about. I didn't really make that decision, but it worked out.
Tanner, it's interesting to me to watch players transfer in as a quarterback because I think quarterback is such a leadership position, right? So inherently, you're going to be one of the voices that people listen to, and you're going to have to become a voice that's trusted pretty much right away. But I think that's hard to do, I would think, when you're a new face, when you don't know guys, when you're trying to meet them and figure out what makes them tick.
Yep.
How big a challenge has that been for you?
I think leadership starts with relationships. I think you have to earn respect and trust of the guys that you want to lead. So coming in, that's what I try to focus on, is trying to get past the surface level of a relationship with all the guys in the locker room. And lucky for me, the guys in the locker room were so welcoming and, they were so great to me coming in, and they really embraced me. So I'm very lucky to come into such a great culture of, attitude and the guys that are around. So that definitely helps, but like you said, it's not easy. So coming in, I just worked my butt off. I just wanted to see the guys see me, how I work, and then try to get to know them at a deeper level. And lucky enough, these guys, I think, respect me as a leader, and here I am today.
Is it easier because it's a new staff? In other words, everyone's already embracing change.
Yeah.
And so you got new faces at the front of the room, new voices that you're listening to on the staff. Do you think that makes it easier?
I think that might play a part. Coming in, before I even got to Wisconsin, I was talking to Coach Fickell, and he was saying something he kept harping on was the culture of this locker room doesn't need to change. Like, this culture is great. So embrace the culture, embrace these guys. So that's something I definitely agree with, and something I found out as soon as I got here is the culture that was in that locker room and the high character of everybody around me. So I definitely didn't want to have anything to do with changing that. I wanted to keep it and keep it to the standard that it has been at Wisconsin football.
Braelon, tell me a bit about your summer. I saw you at a youth football camp. You're involved in a charity softball event. What do you like about being out in the community like that?
Yeah, just the opportunity to give back. I love to work with kids, and especially help if I can help them become a better football player. One of my favorite things to do. So having that camp was an awesome experience for me. I also help out at one of our teammates' camps, Chimere DK. He has a charity camp himself for a charity that he's very close to, and those are like two of my favorite days of the summer, just being around the kids and kind of interacting with them and just having fun. And then I had a charity softball game as well that goes towards my fund. It's split up into different areas and organizations that I was a part of growing up. So definitely the upside of NIL for sure, being able to put on these events.
Very cool, by the way. Final thought from each one of you, and Maema, we can start with you. How would you define success for Wisconsin this year?
I would say success is us being the best team possible and leaning on each other in our relationships to execute on the football field.
Tanner?
Definitely building off of Maema, accomplishing everything that we put in front of ourselves, and being back in this stadium.
Braelon?
He hit the nail on the head with that one, being back here in December. That's the main goal. But, it's going to be important for us to take it 1 week at a time, focus on, our opponent, whoever we're playing, and dominate that game and on to the next. And, like Maema said, just being the best team we can be, leaning on each other. I think being back here will be success for us.
Really fun to visit with all three of you. Best of luck this year. Enjoy the rest of your time here in Indy. In Minnesota, would love to be there. They are on a great run, fresh off another 9-win season. There's a lot to replace. Record-setting QB Tanner Morgan, running back Mo Ibrahim. Tough schedule, but still a ton of optimism in the Quad Cities. In the Twin Cities, I should say. I'm not sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know.
I used to work in the Quad Cities.
A long time, but my goodness.
Yeah,
Did we take on another team?
They doubled. They doubled the number of
We got
cities.
USC, UCLA, and the Quad City Rovers.
You know, I used to work in the Quad Cities.
Evidently, it's on your mind.
Yeah, they're on my mind.
How was it? A good experience?
Not great, no.
Moving right along.
Can we move along?
Good, you got
I'm
me
on this
filling my
set for
time.
a long
Talking,
time.
Please.
I'm on
move
this
along.
set for a long time. Every once in a while, I make a mistake. PJ Fleck is here, the head coach of the Minnesota Golden Gophers, who reside in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. PJ, I do want to ask you, there was a story yesterday that was critical of your program and your culture, and I know you responded to it really well when you were at the podium, but I want to give you an opportunity to kind of reiterate or elaborate or however you want to respond.
Yeah, just baseless allegations, and we got the full support from our athletic director, Mark Coyle, and university leadership. This story has been circulating, it seems, this similar story for years, year in, year out, around this time, and that's unfortunate. But our players have around a dozen anonymous avenues that they can go to at any time if they don't like anything in the program. And up to date, there have been 0 in 7 years about these alleged allegations. So really excited about the 2023 season. Want to talk some football?
Yes.
But I appreciate you bringing it up.
Oh, absolutely. And let's get into it. It is really impressive what this has become here. I mean, over the last 4 years, you've won 9 games 3 times. You and I have talked about this. Prior to that, Minnesota had won 9 games twice since 05, and yes, that is 1905. So again, you've done it more times in the last 4 years than Minnesota had done it since 1905. So give us a sense of where you feel this program has landed and what's the next step.
Well, it's a combination. We talk about us being a life program, academically, athletically, socially, and then the spiritual part's all about serving and giving. And it's about, we're in year 7. And, Coach, you know this, when you're recruiting, I mean, you should be able to have the right fits and the right selections and having the guys that fit your program and share a lot of the same values and core values of your football team. And I think that's showing in the success we've had on the field. Not only that, I mean, we've had 27 academic All-Americans, and 9 of them have come in the last 6 years, and we're really proud of that too. Again, life program, fits the players that we have, and they're working incredibly hard, and we pride ourselves on being a developmental program. Still a lot of meat left on the bone. We got a lot of work to do, but so far so good.
Coach, you new coordinators on offense, right? You lose Mo. I think I've read where the offense is going to look a little bit different, maybe not as run-dominated. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, first of all, Greg Harbaugh and Matt Simon are going to be running our offense, and just like I've commented on this every year, it's balance isn't about just run past 50-50, and you'll know this is balance is about getting the ball into your best players' hands often and very often. And that's exactly what we're going to do. It happens that, back in 2019, we had 2 first-team All-Big Ten wide receivers. That's the first time in the history of the Big Ten that happened with Tyler Johnson, Rashad Bateman. However, we still ran the ball more than we threw the ball, right? But this is going to look a little bit different based on, the one question we have is the running back position this year. Usually that's been able to be filled in when we're sitting here talking. It's just the old names, the Rodney Smiths, the Shannon Brooks, and Muhammad Ibrahims. But this year we've got a different stable of running backs. A lot of people probably aren't going to recognize their name, but when you look at Brevyn, Spann-Ford, you look at Ethan Kalakamanis and Cole Kramer at quarterback, and then we have about 6-7 wideouts that can really play. There's got a lot of playmakers that need to be able to touch that football. So I know that Greg and Matt have worked really hard in the offseason to build around the strengths of this football team.
Leadership is always something that's important to your program, or any program for that matter, and you lose probably some really great leaders in Tanner and Mo. Who are some of the younger players that are starting to step up to take over that mantle?
Well, we're looking at the guys we actually brought here. I know they're not the younger guys, but to lead this football team, I mean, when you look at the 3 guys we brought here, Brevyn, Spann-Ford, Kris Autman-Bell, and Tyler Nubin, that's 18 years of playing for the Golden Gophers connected. Think about that collectively, right? There's 7 years, 6 years, and 5 years, and I think that speaks volumes of our team about the topic you said earlier. Just ask the players who are playing in it, and it speaks for itself that they turn down all that money to come back to our culture. But those are the guys we're leaning on. And when your best players are your hardest workers, you got a really good culture going on, and that speaks volumes about those guys.
Have you adjusted at all to the portal? Is it a little bit different now than the first year?
Well, it's definitely different because I think everybody now has a sense of what works for them and what doesn't work for them. What you're looking at through the portal, how fast you have to get to know these kids too. I think that's one of the things that doesn't get talked about enough in recruiting. I mean, I've known Kris Autman-Bell for 8.5 years, guys, right? And now in the portal, you're getting to know somebody so fast, so quick, and you're bringing them into your culture and your program. And I'm a huge advocate of the transfer portal. You just got to make sure that you vet it as well as you possibly can, and it's definitely changed our recruiting. When you look at it, we're still going to be a high school developmental team, but for us, our philosophy has worked with it being a gap filler, a hole filler, and hopefully get some guys that have multi-years to play in the transfer portal.
Some coaches have talked about just NIL and just how much it has taken them away from their team, just adding more to your plate. Have you found that to be the case?
Well, I think there's a lot of things right now in 2023 that are taking us away from just the football aspect. As you know, as a head coach in college, you are the president, you're the owner, you're the GM, you're the coach, you're everything. I think that's the big difference between the NFL and head coach in the NFL, head coach in the college ranks. But when you're talking about the NIL, everybody has their own philosophies on it. Mm-hmm. Now, for one, we have our own state rules on it, but two, everybody has their own philosophies on it. You know, I want guys to come to the University of Minnesota because they're coming for the life experience. They're coming for the 4 to 5 years to be able to grow as a man, develop into the person they want to be, accomplish their dreams, and play football. There's a lot of people picking it based on money, and then they get there, and the money's fine, and the money's there, or the money might not be there, right? And next thing you know, they're not playing, or it's not what they thought it was, and now we have the portal. Now we have another portal issue, and then we have a multi-year transfers, right, that are transferring multiple times. So something has to happen to get our hands around it. I think we're all using it, right, to our advantage. We live in the Twin City area, Minneapolis and St. Paul. That has 18 Fortune 500 companies, right? Yeah. And so when you're there, the world is your oyster for our student athletes. So everybody's going to use it a different way. I think we're all not saying it's bad, good. Nobody's doing that. We just want guidance on it. We want clarity on it. We want parity on it. We want to be able to know what to do next and how to be able to even use it as we move forward.
So, Coach, so ordinarily you have a recruiting pitch, right? You might start with academics, go to football, go to position, go to all the things you do in front of the parents.
Yeah.
Where do you fit NIL in? Is that first? Is it last? Where is it in the pitch nowadays?
Well, we have our own philosophy on it. So by the time by the time they get to me, they're either not showing up in the office because they already said I'm out of here, or they're in the office because it must not mean as much to them. So for me at Minnesota, that's kind of where we're at right now.
Coach, I want to ask you about transfers just kind of while we're on that topic, because it's interesting to me that a lot of your transfers have been group of 5 guys. Not all of them. I mean, I know there are exceptions, but this year, like, you're leaning on some group of 5 guys. So I guess I'm interested, when you're recruiting a group of 5 player to play in the Power 5 and to play on a team that's going to compete to win a division championship in a great Power 5 league, what do you look at on their film that gives you a sense when they're playing generally against opponents that aren't at the level that they're going to play at as to whether or not they can play for you?
I don't even know if it's the film, to be honest, because if you're a really good player, you can see that on film. I think there's one thing that connects a locker room more than anything, and it's gratitude. And I feel like when we're getting guys from the 1AA programs or the FCS level, or we're getting guys from the group of 5 level or Division II level, and they come up, I mean, they had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich one time a day, and that was their meal. And then they get to us, training table? I have a $166 million facility to do anything that I want to help my body. They're really grateful. And when you have a grateful locker room, you can connect the locker room really quickly. And I'm not saying that's the only thing we look for, but it is one of the deciding factors in it. We have a lot of Power 5 transfers that transfer to us, and they're grateful as well. But gratitude is what we're looking for when we're bringing in transfers into that locker room, because that locker room pulse is incredibly important, especially in 2023, more than ever.
Kris Autman-Bell, what does he do for you in that wide receiver room and really as an offense and a team?
Well, he's not only a phenomenal and elite player, he's an elite teacher. He knows the system. He knows how we develop wide receivers. He can help those young guys. And he, unfortunately, has been hurt all offseason, but he's been a great coach to all those young players, especially the ones that have come in. And I'm just excited to get him back on the field. I mean, he's like a son to me. I've known him just as long as one of my daughters have been alive. And I just can't tell him how thankful we are that he decided to come back and be a part of our program again. And I love that wide receiver room. And part of the reason why I love that wide receiver room is the development that he's had on those guys and the influence he's had on them, not just on the field, but off the field. Coach,
I know you've done a great job reaching out to the Minnesota high school coaches. Have you gotten pushback because of the portal? I mean, are the high school coaches saying our kids aren't having the same amount of opportunities as they used to have?
Well, right now, I mean, we have, I'm not into the rankings, but we have 8 of the top 10 kids in the state of Minnesota committed to us. And that was one of the main goals that we really wanted when we got here. And we're not talking about reaching. I think even the talent in the state of Minnesota is getting better and better, especially with our high school coaches. We got great coaches in the state of Minnesota. And right now we have 8 of the top 10 kids from our state. And I think it's really important to take care of your borders. Now, with that, there's some misconceptions at times like, Coach, why didn't we get all 10? Well, does every Florida kid go to Florida? Does every Texas kid go to Texas? Does every California kid go to USC? You're not going to get everybody because not everybody's going to fit your culture and fit you, right? And we lay everything on the table before in recruiting. It's more selecting for us. So that it's really important for us to keep those connections, especially with the high school coaches and obviously our whole state.
Want to leave you with this. You open against Nebraska, entirely new coaching staff. What's the challenge for an opener with a new staff versus kind of a more traditional opening game?
Well, first, I have so much respect for Coach Rhule. We're pretty good friends. We go back to the Western Michigan days and Temple days when we were the Group of 5 teams coming up. But you're preparing for ghosts. Now, what we do all offseason, because we get a little bit more time than we used to get in past years with our players in the offseason, but we'll start opponent studies, and if our offense, we're looking at not only 4-3 when we install things, but we're installing it based on 4-3, 3-4, 3-3-5, 3-5-3. You're installing it based on the different defenses you have, which make training camp even more exciting because you're in the first and second down install a little bit longer than you used to be, especially with all different types of offenses coming into our league and obviously college football evolving. And Nebraska's going to be really well coached, I know that. And I got a lot of respect for Coach Rhule and what he does and how he runs his program and the culture he creates.
PJ Fleck, best of luck in Minneapolis and St. Paul this year. If you happen to find yourself in Davenport or Rock Island, I hope it goes well there as well. Thanks, Coach.
We're the most guy Mago Gophers. Thanks.
All right. Michigan Wolverines, strictly business, says Mike Sainristil, coming into this season, and they have certainly taken care of business the last 2 years, joined by Mike, along with his teammates, Blake Corum and Kris Jenkins, and guys, the 2-time defending Big Ten champs. I mentioned it when I introduced Coach Harbaugh on the podium. Michigan has never won 3 straight outright Big Ten titles. There have been shared Big Ten titles, right? Whatnot, right? We don't share Big Ten titles anymore.
Yes, sir.
Outright titles never happened in the history of this program. What do you think about it? Think about the chance to make some history coming into this year?
Yeah, I think we have a great chance. We have a great team coming back overall. All from offensive line to the quarterback position, running back, receiver to the defense. Great players overall. And our biggest focus right now is just the day-to-day. Being where our feet are, getting ready for camp, ECU, but speaking about, the three-peat, it's definitely a shot, and that's one of our goals, and I think we have a great chance of doing that.
It's interesting to me because all of you guys were here when it wasn't going all that well, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you felt like, hey, is this going to work out? Or externally people felt like it might not work out. Mm-hmm. What's changed in your mind, Kris? Like, what's different about Michigan football right now than 2 years ago at this moment?
Well, I think the biggest thing we definitely put on emphasis was our culture. Getting in the room, focusing on playing for each other and not just for ourselves. And, that's what we've embodied, try to embody every single day we come into the facility. That's what we've, really put our point of emphasis on, just becoming a better football team every 24 hours, getting better at something every single day.
How do you define your culture, Mike? What is Michigan's culture?
It's a tight-knit bond. And one thing I always preach to guys is those team trips we take. That's where you really learn who your teammates are. You get those opportunities to see everybody outside of the football lens. And then getting to football, you day to day you're grinding with the next man. That's where you build the trust. That's where you build the team character. And that's when you find out what type of team you're going to be when you guys are tired, pushing each other continuously.
Tell me about the team trip this year, where you went and what it meant to you.
Team trip was fun. Kris and I got to see Hamilton.
Yeah, yes, sir.
It was a great experience. It was Kris, Zach, myself, and
pretty much, yeah.
I don't remember who
CJ?
CJ.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was great though. But the team trip overall, shout out to Coach Harbaugh for putting that together for us.
Mm-hmm.
He says the world is a big classroom, so go out and experience, go out and learn. And he gives us the platform, he gives us the opportunity to do so.
What'd you think of Hamilton? Got you humming the soundtrack?
Oh yeah, for sure.
He asked me the other day if I still remember any songs. I told him I don't, but he does.
Yeah, not gonna lie, kind of may have been listening to like 5 or 6 songs from Hamilton every once in a while.
Yeah,
so
that's
really,
great, right?
Yeah, really good, bro.
Yeah.
Amazing show.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And some outstanding history. Where did you see it? Where were you guys when you saw it?
Right in New York. Right in New York.
Right on Broadway.
Right in Broadway. And it was a unreal experience. I see what all the hype was about.
Yeah.
So
it's fabulous.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of hype, the CFP's been heavily hyped, right? And you guys have been right there. So how do you go from a team that played in the CFP 2 years in a row to a team that wins the CFP? Like what needs to happen to take that next step? Like,
I think the first thing we need to do is really just, like I said, just be where our feet are. We got to get through the season in order to get to the CFP. So we have to take care of business. We can't think too far ahead. We can't think about the national championship. It's already in the back of our mind. We know what the end goal is, and we're going to get there. But first, the work comes. So camp, we work. Then we beat ECU. Then we beat our second game, third game, fourth game. Then at November 25th, we got to beat Ohio State. Then we come here. And so it's a process. We just got to embrace the process, man. And then when we get there, just be precise. Be precise in everything we do. Handle business. And I think we have the team to do it, man. I'm really excited to see how far we go this season.
Well, while we're on that topic, I saw that there was a Georgia period added to practice. Can you confirm that, Kris?
Yes, sir, there was indeed.
Okay, so what does that entail? I mean, no secret here as to what that's about, right? Like,
Absolutely.
To be the best, you got to beat the best. How do you beat Georgia? They've been the best. So
Yes,
what do you do? What does a Georgia period look like?
It's really just, pushing ourselves as a team, getting gritty, getting in the trenches, working on our run game, every aspect, like not just necessarily it being just, beat Georgia drill, but it's really just taking our minds to the next level. How can we be a better football team, and how can we really, be what everybody's talked about, being the next team that's up. So, just taking that aspect of our game and taking it to the next level and eliminating all that complacency.
Mike, what would you add to that?
I would just say getting in there, getting in them trenches, not being scared to get your hands dirty, get your feet dirty, work on the run game, work on the play action game, work on big personnels, and just go in there and battle it out, win the line of scrimmage.
Blake, you were injured, of course, at the end of last year. I think everyone wants to know about your health, how you're feeling, and kind of your recovery and where you feel like you are in that process.
Yeah, I would say I'm back. I'm back to me.
Are you 100%? Like, are you out doing everything that you were doing before?
I'm doing everything, cutting, everything. I'm 100%. I'm excited to be back with the fellas. That's why I'm so excited for next Tuesday, just for camp to start. I smell it, man. It's going to be a great year. Man,
what does camp smell like? Or can you describe that?
I'll describe it for you. It's hard work, long days, but it's great. It's a great feeling being out there with your brothers.
You are part of what may very well be the best running back duo in the country. I certainly know you think it is. What's that like, though? We talk about quarterback, right? And there can only be one quarterback because you can't really share that ball. Running backs are different.
Yeah.
You can share the ball.
Yes,
you can rotate carries. You can be in for different series. You can be in for different situations. How do you see that with you and Donovan?
I mean, we just complement each other so well. It's beautiful. We have a great coach in Coach Hart. He trains us real well. He gets us ready for the games, and he makes sure the running back room is really just great. We treat each other great. But Donovan and I, we complement each other. We sharpen each other. On the field, off the field, it doesn't matter. We're not selfish players. If I get 10 carries and Donovan gets 15, I'm going to be like, hey, coach, he got 5 more carries than me. It's none of that.
Right.
We want the best for each other. And that's what makes us so special because, we're not complaining. We want the best. We root each other on when we're in. And that's what makes the team so well because, the team in general, no one's selfish. Unselfish team. That's why we're successful, and that's why we'll continue to be successful, man.
Kris, tell me about this team up front on defense. I do think there are some questions there just in terms of less proven maybe than some other areas of the team. What would you say to people who question that group?
I honestly think you got to look out. We got a lot of young talent. We got a lot of young guys that are hungry and, that have the desire to prove themselves and, to become better, and more dominant defensive players. I'm just really excited because, we've seen all the work they put in the offseason. We've seen the amount of, work they put in, in training camp, in the summer training, how far they're willing to push themselves. And, just really excited because you'll see a lot of young names that haven't necessarily been called yet but are definitely about to shine and have a breakout season.
Your dad was a great defensive lineman himself, both at Maryland and in the NFL. What did you learn from him? What has he taught you about playing that position?
Honestly, he's just really taught me about having a different mentality. He's taught me that, you're going to want to be your own player. You're not going to be like me. You're not going to, be the exact player I was, but you could be your own player. That started ever since I was young. I wanted to get that number 77 like he had. He was like, nah, it ain't your time yet. But you can make your own number. Make 74 your number. Keep going from there. I've taught and I've carried that with me, ever since because it's like, I'm not going to try and embody that same, person my dad was because he was a beast. I ain't going to be that player. But I can be, how good can Kris Jenkins Jr. be? And that's what I really aspire to get to every single day.
Mike, you transitioned from the offensive side to the defensive side full-time a year ago. What do you like most about playing on that side of the ball?
I get to play fast. I get to play free. I get to go out there and, just be I'm not going to walk on the field and be the most physically imposing person, but you will feel my presence. I'm going to play fast. I'm going to play strong. I'm going to convert my speed to power. I will, I'm going to go and make open field tackles. I will communicate loud. I will make sure the defense is set. I'm coming down there. I'm tapping Kris into different gaps. I'm just being the player that the defense needs out there. Quarterbacking if I need to on defense. But at the end of the day, wherever I'm needed on the team, I'll go and do what needs to be done. If Coach Harbaugh wants me to go play offense, catch a couple. Hey, Coach, I'm ready.
You just lit up a little bit there in describing that possibility. You are uniquely qualified, obviously, to talk about the wide receivers because you played wide receiver. Now you cover the wide receivers. Tell us about the wide receiver group.
We have great receivers. Cornelius Johnson, Roman Wilson. We have young guys, Frederick Moore, Samaj Morgan. We have so much speed, Iman Dennis. We have guys who are willing to block coming off, we have Ronnie, who was a great blocker. We have myself, who was a great blocker. We have great receivers on this team. I can't wait to see, the connection that JJ and them have throughout camp and how, they put that out on display coming into this season.
Mike, really interested in your family story. You guys emigrated from Haiti.
Yep.
When you were an infant. How has that influenced the person you are, watching your parents go through that experience and what they've relayed to you?
Yeah, I love my parents, love my family. What pushes me is knowing that my parents, no matter how much load they have, how little load they have, they're going to do whatever it takes possible to help my family be, who we are. And so, one thing I carry myself daily is that everything I do is bigger than just myself. And I think that's, that having that mindset is what helped me make the transition from, offense to defense. Football relates to life, right? So knowing that everything is bigger than me not being selfish, saying I want to stay on offense, helped me be the best defensive player I can be at the moment. Knowing that I'm doing everything currently to help my family be the best family it could possibly be is because of my parents. It's what, they instilled in me when I was a little kid. So I'm going to continue pushing myself, continue, striving and persevering to be the best Mikey Sainristil that I could possibly be.
Well said. Blake, Mike's talking about making the world a better place, right? And that's something that you have done as well. You're nominated for the AFCA Good Works team. I will always remember this, but right after you got hurt, right before the Ohio State game, you were out delivering turkeys in the community, which just struck me as incredible given all the pressure you were under and the circumstances you were under. You've run a lot of camps. You've done a lot of stuff to be involved. Why does that resonate with you? Why is it important with you?
I mean, it's important to me for many reasons. How I was raised, my parents taught me to always give back. And, I'm a religious man, and, God's blessed me with more than enough. And so, if I can just change one person's life, that's the ideal goal. But, coming back, part of me coming back was to get back in the community. And we're holding events, man. And like you said, camps, the turkeys this year will be better. We was 300 last year. I'm shooting for 500.
Wow.
Backpack giveaways, Christmas drives, things like that. Just trying to change the world, make the world a better place. Like I tell a lot of people, man, like football is my passion and giving back is my purpose. And I feel like that can be a lot of our purposes, just to be a better human being, and it doesn't have to be financially, going down the street, see someone having a bad day, hey, how you doing today? That goes a long way. There's always a way to give back, and this is just some of the way I give back, and, I love it. It means a lot to me. I'm going to do it until the day I die.
Blake, Kris, Mike, thanks a lot for your time. Fellas, really good job. Congratulations on all your success, and look forward to seeing whether or not the Maize and Blue makes it back here
I appreciate
to
it.
Indy this year.
Thank you so much.
We missed it. Sorry, Coach.
You're all right. You're all right.
I think it was actually East and West, so maybe the one was still coming up. I don't know. Yeah, we can get a replay later. There's a new man in charge at Purdue. 37-year-old Ryan Walters did a fabulous job as Illinois' DC takes over a team that won its first Big Ten West title last year. And Jerry, by request.
All right.
Oh, no, they're in alphabetical order. They're in alphabetical order. So there we are.
Nice unis, Coach.
Yeah, appreciate it. Appreciate it. We'll have some surprise for you on the first home opener too. So.
Wow.
Okay. That is a
breaking news.
There
you go.
Breaking news.
That is a deep tease. Yes, breaking news. We need the breaking news font to come across the screen. Ryan, first time as a head coach, what has stood out to you about this experience?
Just that it's not nonstop. I got hired December 13th, and it feels like it's been one long day up until the 4th of July week, really. But it's been a blast. I'm having fun. I've been blessed to be around really good people. We've been able to fill that facility with top quality individuals that have no egos and care about the game for the right reasons. And as a result, the chemistry in the locker room has been at an all-time high. It exceeded my expectations. And so I'm excited to see what that looks like come Saturdays.
No one's more obsessed with schedules than the guy sitting next to me right here. But I was looking over your schedule. It is a bit daunting to start out. You got Fresno State, at Virginia Tech, and Syracuse in the non-conference. So there's no easing into this first head coaching job. How does that kind of color your camp, and how does it color your preparation when you know you're going to be really good from the get-go?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like you said, we got to come out the gate ready to roll. You can't be figuring things out on the fly. So the way we've set up our off-season schedule is with that in mind. I think we are fortunate that 4 of our first 5 opponents are at home to try to build some confidence and some momentum in front of your home crowd. But anytime you're in this conference, it's the Big Ten. You got a Big Ten schedule. You're going to have to strap it up and lace them up every Saturday. And so as a competitor, you want to play against the best and see where you stack up, and we've definitely got opportunity to do so.
I thought you told a great story when you were at the podium about being a young coach and saying, I want to sit in that seat. I want to be the head coach. So I know it's been nonstop, but what's the biggest surprise about the nonstop?
What's been a surprise for me is just how at ease I have felt. It's I get asked all the time, like, are you drinking from a water hose?
Right.
Is your head spinning? But it wasn't like I got the job and then now I'm trying to have to figure it out. It was more I got the job and had to execute a plan. So to see that plan executed and to see it happen in real time and sort of exceed your expectations has been humbling and gratifying, to say the least.
Will you give up defensive play calling, or will you always have your hand in that?
No, Kevin Kane is our defensive coordinator, and he'll call the plays. Obviously, I loved doing that. It was fun. I felt like I was really, really good at it, and so I don't want to walk away from that room. But I'm there to be an extra set of eyes, extra set of ears, an extra set of ideas, and be a tool for Coach Kane. I know he's got aspirations of one day being a head coach, and I was afforded that platform to run my own show. And so this is my opportunity to give back and allow him the same opportunities that were provided for me.
So as you were defending all the different offenses through your career, you could become a head coach and you get to pick one of those ones you've been defending. Why'd you pick the one you did?
Yeah, so I thought it was important for me, being a defensive guy with my background, to be a head coach at a place like Purdue that has had success historically on the offensive side of the ball. to be able to hire a guy that would attract quarterbacks, attract offensive skill guys, and do things that I hate seeing on Saturdays. And so talking to guys that I trusted in the profession and having some familiarity with Graham, we hired him, and it's been awesome. I'm proud of the product that he's portrayed throughout spring ball, and obviously we were able to go get Hudson Card from the transfer portal, and that doesn't happen without Graham Harrell. And so, I'm excited for their brand of ball with air raid offense and the airstrike defense, and hopefully that'll be winning formula for Purdue come the fall.
What are some of the things as you head for training camp that you need to check off to make sure that you guys understand, know, and feel comfortable about?
Yeah, so for us, we got a lot of veteran guys, but that haven't had a lot of experience playing with each other. We attacked the transfer portal after spring ball to fill up some roster spots to try to field a championship level roster. I felt like we've done that when identifying the type of guys we needed at the positions that we needed. But at the same time, those guys haven't gone through any adversity yet together. And so it's our job as a staff to try to put them in positions during fall camp, have some situational football scenarios that fabricate adversity so that when we come to season and adversity is guaranteed, that we'll respond the right way to try to have success on the other side of it.
Coach, give us your strengths and weaknesses coming out of spring practice.
Our strengths, we've got really good edge rushers on defense. We've got some veteran safeties that have played a lot of ball and understand what we're doing schematically. We are younger at corner and attack the transfer portal at that position. Offensively, obviously had to replace a lot of production coming from that side of the ball. I feel really good about our tight end room. I feel good about our offensive line and trying to find the right combination of guys. We got some position flexibility in that room. Running backs, we've got guys in Devin Mockabee and Tyrone Tracy and Dylan Downing. And then at wideout, with Charlie Jones leaving and all that production leaving from a year ago, we got guys on the roster that have stepped up into their roles. And we also added guys from the transfer portal that will go compete for playing time. And I'm excited to see what that looks like getting out of fall camp.
Doesn't look like there's a. Oh, I'm sorry, Howard.
Hey, you cutting me off today?
No, go ahead.
No,
yeah.
What's it been like having to really being able to focus defensively in those relationships on that side of the ball and special teams guys to now having to focus on the entire team? Yeah. How's that worked for you as far as time management is concerned? That's
another reason why Kevin Kane is calling it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't be a micromanager and do my job to the best of my abilities, and so my role now in my career has changed. I'm the head coach. I'm no longer the defensive coordinator. So I thought it was really important in the springtime to spend time on the offensive side of the ball because I know I'll be spending more time on defense throughout the season with game planning and things of that nature. But it has been awesome to get to know the entirety of the locker room and develop one-on-one relationships with each individual and to put my footprint on how we practice and the tempo with which we do things and the urgency with which we do things and how we communicate. Those are all things that as a head coach you get to have an influence on, and I've definitely tried to do just that.
You mentioned Hudson Card. Give us a little insight into him. You don't have a ton of depth in that quarterback room, at least to an outsider. Maybe you can shed some light on it, but it seems like he's pretty clearly going to be the guy. So what can you tell us about his skill set and how it fits into what Graham wants to do and what you want to do?
Yeah, I've been really pleased with Hudson. The thing I've been most pleased with was just the way he went to work when he got in the building. He could have very easily came in, with an ego coming from Texas and having the success he had there. But when he came in, he put his head down and went to work. I think that immediately garnered the respect of his teammates. He's got uber talented arm, can spin it with the best of them, and I think what is underrated about his skill set is his ability to extend plays and move the chains with his feet. He's very athletic and can change directions and get north and south real fast. A very poised individual and an even better person, so I'm excited that he's our guy.
Coach, you're not that far removed from being a player. Certainly closer to being a player than some of us, okay? When you think back, did you ever think there'd be a time when the portal and when NIL would be part of college football?
Not as a player. There were so many rules and so many things you couldn't do. and it felt like you didn't have a lot of options as a player. You know what I mean? You didn't have a lot of backing as a player, and so I think the transfer portal allows for guys to have some security and changing their experience if it's a bad one, which I think is key. Obviously, like the NIL landscape wasn't even thought of back when I was playing. You know, you got your scholarship and your stipend, and that was it. I do think that it is important that guys are able to earn money as they see fit. I mean, this is a multi-million-dollar industry, and you know, last time I checked, nobody came to games to watch us coach. They came to watch the players play. So I do think there needs to be some structure around it. You know, a cap sort of sense. If we're thinking of NIL like a salary cap, you know, to me the NFL is the only model that has worked, and so I think that it would behoove us to put a cap on it so we're playing on equal playing fields.
Your dad was a really good quarterback in Colorado. What's he think of the NIL and the portal?
He's like, damn, I wish we'd had it. But yeah, it is what it is, and what I've learned too now is it really doesn't matter what your opinion of NIL is. It's here, and so now it's how do you use it to your advantage? How do you adapt to the climate that is the ever-changing landscape of college football?
Wanted to ask you as a final question, what's it going to be like to go head-to-head with Illinois?
It'll be a surreal experience. You know, obviously I think the world of Coach Bielema and the staff that he has there. Was very appreciative of my time in Champaign and really groomed me and I learned a lot and put the quote unquote finishing touches on what I felt like I needed to be prepared for this moment. So you know, there'll be a bunch of underlining narratives going into that game. But to be honest with you, man, right now I'm worried about fall camp number 1 and Fresno State on coming out of the Tiller Tunnel on that Saturday at noon.
Ryan Walters, congratulations on the gig. Great to keep you in the Big Ten, and looking forward to watching what you do with Purdue this year.
Thank you, guys. You guys are first class.
What a year it was for Purdue, culminating in an appearance here in the Big Ten championship game. They're back in Lucas Oil Stadium. Have to agree with the sentiment. The crew does look clean, and we had one part of that crew, the new head coach Ryan Walters, up on the set just a few moments ago, and now we are joined by Hudson Card, Sanoussi Kane, and TJ Sheffield, 3 of the Boilermaker star players joining us. Hudson, we'll get to you in a second, but I want to talk to the guys who were here who played in this game a year ago. When you think back to everything that Purdue went through last year, again, culminating in playing in the Big Ten championship game for the first time ever. Sanoussi, I can start with you. TJ, I want to get some thoughts from you as well. What's your best memory of last year?
I think just the camaraderie of the team, how everybody had each other's back, and the way that we played football, the way that we executed, especially down the stretch when we needed to win those games against Illinois, against Indiana, those specific games. Just that was the fun. It's always fun when you're playing for something in November.
TJ?
I feel like just backing up what Nusi said, like during hard times, getting over humps and stuff and just attacking adversity, man, with your teammates and getting through it. It was pretty fun last year.
So they wiped the slate clean this year. You have a new head coach in Ryan Walters. We're obviously familiar with him because of his time at Illinois, but certainly haven't seen him as a head coach. You guys all have this unique perspective now. You're the first group ever to play for him. Give us a sense of what he's like. Take us inside Purdue spring practice and what you saw from Ryan Walters.
Yeah, first of all, he's a great coach. You look at his track record, and it shows itself. And the coach that he is, he's also, a team player. So he's going to coach you super hard on the field, but he also has your back off the field, which is nice. And sometimes it's hard to come across at the college level. So the whole staff has been amazing. Lots of energy, lots of excitement. Our locker room is special. A lot of chemistry. We're just trying to build that, throughout fall camp.
Sanoussi, what would you add to that?
Just who he is as a person. He's a great person first and foremost, and that translates onto the football field with him being the head coach. He wants the best for us as players, and we want to play for him. So I feel like just it's almost like a match made in heaven, really.
TJ, any thoughts to add to that?
Man, I feel like Coach Walters, he brings a lot of energy. He's also a younger coach, so he can relate to a lot of the players. He played not too long ago, so he knows everything, like how we're feeling and stuff like that. So
it was interesting in talking to him, Hudson, about kind of the decision that he made on the offense he wanted to run. And as a defensive coordinator, he kind of said, hey, I looked at all the things that I had to defend. I said, what do I least want to defend? And it was the air raid. So he brings in Graham Harrell. I'm assuming that had a lot to do with your decision to come. Give us some insight into kind of that sell and what appealed to you about Graham Harrell and about playing in his offense.
Yeah, first of all, the air raid is something special, and you're going to throw the ball a lot. And, you know, Coach Harrell has done it at the highest level himself, so it's always nice getting coached by someone that's done it themselves. Obviously, him at Texas Tech and then playing in the league, and, you know, and learning from Aaron Rodgers for a couple of years, which is awesome. So just to be able to, you know, take a piece of his brain and some of his knowledge that he's learned and being coached by him has been special.
So you are from Austin, Texas. If memory serves me correctly, I feel like there's another quarterback from Austin, Texas, who went to Purdue, who had a fair amount of success in the game. Did that enter into your, not necessarily into your decision making, but I mean, you're aware of that, obviously.
Of course, yeah.
Did you think about like following in Drew Brees' footsteps in any way?
I mean, it's pretty cool to think about, just knowing that we grew up about 20 minutes from each other, and we ended up going to the same college, you know, across the country. So it's pretty special, and you know, it's pretty funny just because he went to, you know, Westlake, I went to Lake Travis, so we were big rivals in high school. So, you know, when I talked to him, he joked about that too, which is pretty funny.
That's great. TJ, give us a sense for this new quarterback throwing the balls to you.
Hudson, man, he's a really explosive guy. I feel like he's going to extend a lot of plays for us this year, and he can definitely sling it. So I'm really excited for this year.
Sanoussi, on the other side of the ball, you got Coach Walters, who had a fabulous defense last year at Illinois. I mean, led the nation in scoring defense. Coach Kane was a huge part of that. What's the defense kind of as a defensive player when you see these guys who came in and had incredible success? What's the defensive mentality that they're bringing from Illinois to Purdue that you hope to implement?
It's an aggressive style. It's an aggressive defense. So we want to play to their standard. Obviously, they built the standard that they had at Illinois. Also, Coach Walters at Mizzou. Now we want to play to their standard. If not, after that, build onto that standard and elevate that standard of defense that they play.
Sanoussi, tell me a little bit more about your family. Came from Mali in West Africa.
Yep.
I'm always interested in stories like that. We've had a few of them actually here today. Yep. Tell me about their journey and how everyone has kind of made America their home.
So my dad was the first person that immigrated here. He immigrated here in 1991. So he had a lot of time to kind of get it settled in America, learn the tricks of the trade in America. And my mom came and met him here in 2000. And they ain't take that much long time. So I was born in 2001, so they ain't take that much time. So, you know, and they had my little brother in 2004. So just a smaller family, but they love America now. Hopefully someday soon we can go back all together to Mali and
I was
just
going to
celebrate.
ask you that. You have not been?
Oh no, I've been multiple times.
Okay.
So, yeah,
okay.
I haven't been since I've been in college, but hopefully after I'm done, I'll get some time to go back there with them.
Speaking of traveling, I was flipping through your Instagram. I mean, you've done some fun things, right? You're like wakeboarding and you're skydiving and you're scuba. I mean, it's incredible. You seem to have quite an adventurous streak. What's your favorite thing that you've done?
Oh man, first of all, yeah, my family loves to travel to new places, and credit to my brother Weston for that, because he's the one that pushes our family to do cool things like that. If I had to pick one spot, it'd probably be Bora Bora. It was the coolest spot I've been to, I'd say. It's a good spot.
All right, tell me what made it so cool.
It's
other than being really far away, first of all, yes.
Yeah. We rented out a catamaran, though, so we were on it for about a week, just kind of island hopping, and we stopped at Bora Bora for a little bit. It'll be like 60 feet deep, and you could see the bottom. It's insane. So
wow.
Yeah, super pretty, pretty.
Yeah, no, that sounds amazing. TJ, I'm going to take it back on the field with you. Charlie Jones had really an incredible year last year. It was such an amazing story to see a guy who had been a bit player elsewhere and then emerge into one of the great stars, not just in this league, but really in the country. You had a good year yourself, too. I don't want to in any way sell short what you did. But what was it like to kind of watch him and see how he handled kind of all of a sudden being this spotlighted player?
It was great, man. I feel like Charlie's a great teammate. He handled everything pretty well. On and off the field, man, we always collaborated and made sure we was getting right on plays and things like that, helping each other with releases and things like that, man. He's a great guy, and I know he's going to do big things in the league.
He's gone, but there's still a lot of talent on this receiving crew, yourself included.
Yes,
but
sir.
For people who maybe were just focused solely on Charlie Jones last year, tell us about that room and who you think can make a big impact.
Man, we got some guys. We got some guys out of the portal, man. Jamal Edrin, a younger guy, Deion Burks last year had a couple of glimpses, big plays, man. We also have others, man. But I'm excited to get to work with the new guys. So.
You know, TJ, it's interesting. We were talking to Coach about the schedule, and it's really tough. I mean, there aren't many teams that play 11 Power 5 teams.
Yes, sir.
And then the other one's Fresno State, who historically has been a really good program. How does that sharpen you mentally and physically when you think about, okay, like from the get-go here, we are going to have to be good, we're going to have to be ready to go because the opposition is going to be tough?
Man, I feel like it's always better to play the best, man. That's why people want to play at this stage to play the best. So that's what we want.
How about from your point of view, Sanoussi?
It's the same here. We don't have no easy weeks. So every game you have to approach it like it's a big game because it is a big game, and you have to approach that same way through practice. Every practice has to be like the game. So you just got to approach everything the right way so we can win those games when the time comes.
I want you guys to fast forward to the end of the season. You're looking back and you've played through this year. What would be a successful year? Like, what would have to happen for you to sit there and feel like we did what we needed to do?
Yeah, I mean, I think, our goal as a team is to be Big Ten champions and win a championship. So, that's our goal, and we're attacking, all our workouts and fall camp, as that goal, as the end goal. So, that's where we want to be come the end of the season.
How do you define success for this team this year, Sanoussi?
I think coming off of last year, we got a taste of what it feels like. We played in the stadium before, so now we want to get back and hopefully this time win it.
TJ, what's it been like to see the fan support grow in the way that it has? I think that is something that has really struck us here in the last few years of watching you guys, just the energy that it seems like there is at Ross-Ade. It's different. I mean, I'll just tell you, we've been doing this for 17 years. It's different than it was a number of years ago. What's it been like for a player to come out, supercharged environment, and people fired up?
Man, I feel like the fans, man, they're really the 12th man. They help us out on game days a lot, I feel like, man. Our plan this year is to make them proud, I believe so.
All right. Well, you guys did a great job of making them very proud last year. Looking forward to seeing what's in store for the Boilermakers this year. Thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
There is Matt Rhule. As you may have heard, there is some interest in the Nebraska football program. He has been chatting away all day talking about his plan for the Huskers. Did a great job, of course, rebuilding Temple and Baylor. Former Big 12 Coach of the Year. 7 seasons as a college head coach. 3 of them ended with double-digit wins. Matt Rhule joining us now. Coach, welcome to the Big Ten. What are your emotions as you prepare finally to embark on this season?
I'm just really excited. It's been fun getting to Nebraska. It's been fun recruiting, but it's time to play some football. And so I'm excited to take these guys and get started on Sunday.
Each of the places that you have taken over, you took over in different circumstances, but you got it going in relatively short order. Is there a template kind of that you put into place when you take over a new place, or do you do it differently based on what the circumstances are?
I think every place is different. You have to figure out, hey, how do I win here? But the same core philosophy, we're going to try to find the right people. We're going to try to implement like a process with some standards that don't change, and then just grind our way through it. Try to get a little bit better every day. And so it's kind of old school. It's not, maybe it doesn't sound the best, but it's the only way I know how to be successful.
Coach, I love the different opinions about college football. Spread coaches say that the huddle is the biggest waste of time in college football. And Coach Satterfield, your offensive coordinator, if I could quote him, "I'm on a crusade about the huddle. The huddle is the heart and soul of football." What's that all about?
You know, when we were at Temple, we were a huddle team. When we were at Baylor, we were a no huddle team. I certainly see the efficiency of being out of the huddle. But, you know, I'm at scrimmages this spring. I stand back behind the huddle. I listen to Jeff or whoever the quarterback get in there, and I hear the O-linemen making jokes. I hear them talking to each other. There's something beautiful. Like, our whole society's gone from, like, talking to each other to texting. Like, they're actually sitting there talking. I love it. And you know what? Defensive coordinators in football now, they just look out and see your formation and call their defense. With us, they got to see a personnel group and make a call and make a check when we line up. So we'll see how it goes.
We need more family huddles, it sounds like.
That's exactly
Town
right.
huddles.
That's right.
What's been the experience like getting back to being around young people that want to grow and learn the game?
You know, it's really what I missed. You know, the day I got fired, you start getting text messages, and all these former players were texting me, and it was almost like they were eulogizing me like I was dead. Like, "Hey, Coach, you meant this to me. Hey, Coach, hang in there. You meant that to me." And I think for Julie and I, we missed being on a college campus. We missed watching 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kids grow into men, watching them get educations, getting to know their families. The NFL is great. But my wife didn't know anybody. Like, she'd go to the games as a fan. And so we're so excited now to get back on campus, be around the other sports, be around the other students, and be a part of young people's lives.
To continue with Dave's question that he asked you, all the things that have to happen in the first year, what's the most important thing that has to happen the first year?
Well, I think for us, it's so hard. You're a player. You've been somewhere under a coach for 3 or 4 years, and all of a sudden, new guy comes in, changes everything. You have to get the team to go from kind of buying in a little bit, like putting their toe in, to jumping all the way in. Sometimes it means you have to play younger players, because they're going to be there for longer. But the seniors at Nebraska want to win. I saw that when they went to Iowa, the last game of the year, 3-win season. They went out and they played Iowa, who's trying to fight for the Western Crown, and they beat them. I said, these guys have the heart. They want to win, and so we have a senior group that we're going to go all in with, and all the young guys below it. But they just have to believe without evidence. It's hard, but if they do it, they'll never regret it.
You've done a really good job of getting a foothold back into the Nebraska as far as recruiting is concerned. Is that an area that's going to be key for you?
Yeah, because I had some time on my hands looking at the job, I looked at all the recruits in Nebraska. I looked at the guys in 23, 24, 25. There's a lot of good players. And so we have a focus that we want to recruit Nebraska and keep the best players there. We want to go into all the surrounding states. We want to go to Kansas City, St. Louis, up into the Dakotas. We want to be prominent in Texas. I was in Texas. The football there is great. And then, whether it's New Jersey or Florida, there's great players everywhere where we have relationships. We'll go there as well.
I don't want to get you into a position. I'm not asking you to critique former staffs in any way. But I think we can all acknowledge that the last 20 years just hasn't been what all of us grew up with Nebraska football, what you grew up with, what anyone who's been around this game has seen historically from this program. And yet there has been so much greatness there. So I realize it's as broad a question as I can possibly ask you, but what's missing? What is it, just that things haven't quite gone right, that it hasn't been the right people at the right time or whatever it's been? Or is there something else that you need to do to kind of recapture the glory?
I think the thing for me, and I've learned it, at Temple, at Baylor, even at Carolina, you have to have everyone kind of moving forward with the same plan, and everyone has to believe in what you're doing. And as I talked to Trev and talked about the last 20 years, Coach Pelini never lost, he won at least 9 or 10 games every year, but there's just always kind of maybe been a disconnect. Not everyone's been aligned, and for me, Admiral Carter was the head of Navy when I was at Temple. I know how much he loves football and athletics. Trev Alberts is already. I know how much he. And so I think what we need everybody in the state, everybody associated with the university. We can love the past, we can plan for the future, but everyone has to come together now, and we have to do it now. And I'm not great at many things, but I think I'm pretty decent at bringing people together, trying to bring all the former players together, all the guys on our team together. And if we do that, Nebraska's powerful. We've seen what it can do when it's all united.
Coach, your 2 rebuild jobs, Temple and Baylor, before you got there, fan base wasn't really that strong. I mean, you made it strong, and every other coach that's ever will go. And if they do what you did at those two schools, they will be. But this fan base is crazy. Okay, obviously much different in Temple and Baylor. Does it take more of your time? Are you going to have to reorganize your schedule weekly because of the fan base?
You know, since the day I got there, I got, my family didn't move out yet. I got a little apartment downtown, and at first when people would see me, they were shocked. And now, like, they're kind of like, hey, coach, he's going to get a cup of coffee. I'm just kind of a regular guy. I want to be around people. In the end of the season, that's interesting. I don't know that yet. I mean, that'll probably be part of it. But I think the thing you recognize when you're at the University of Nebraska, it's not just about the football. It's, you're serving not just the university, you're serving the entire state. Right. There's people from Scottsbluff to Omaha that, their families come together around Husker football, and we have an obligation to honor that. And I'm their coach. I'm not just the coach of the other guys there, so I have to carry myself that way. And you know what? My wife's in for it, my kids are in for it, and I'm in for it. We're excited.
Coach, a position that's near and dear to my heart, the fullback position. You had a fullback camp.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Nebraska is synonymous with the fullback.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was at Temple, we had a great fullback in Nick Sharga. And that was like, I was like, how am I going to beat South Florida and Central Florida if I'm the same as them? So we put a fullback in, we ran power, and we were different, and we won. When I took this job, and Marcus was my OC there, so he believes in the same things, I talked to Coach Solich. So much so that, like, I was on vacation when Michigan was playing TCU, and I got a text that's Frank Solich texted me. The first play of the game, Michigan hits a long run with a fullback. He goes, I told you the fullback mattered. So, you know what? How do we find them? They're playing other positions now. So we had a camp, and maybe you play linebacker. Maybe you play, tight end. Maybe you're an H-back at your school. They came there that day. They played fullback, and we found some really good players. Mike Bloomer, the head coach at Rice, he flew up for the camp. You know what? We're going to try to bring the fullback back.
I like that. I think I'm going to the camp next year. I'm going to hang around a little bit.
Music to your ears. I mean, that seriously.
Oh, it doesn't get any better than that.
Could he have said anything?
We can go.
That would suck you in more than that. Yeah.
Puts a lot of pressure on your defensive staff, though, right? Because they're not in spring ball and camp. They're going to see something that they're probably not going to see during the fall.
Yeah, and no doubt. And I looked at Wisconsin obviously was doing that, so was preparing us. But they kind of got. I think they're going to get away from that. Iowa helps us, but for me, it's all about being multiple. I mean, we're going to be. We can put a fullback on the field and be an empty. We can be in the eye.
Right. Sure.
I always felt like when I was coaching at Temple and we played Navy, we played Army. While those fundamentals and those defenses only maybe existed for that week, playing the game that way, getting off blocks, staying square, playing the cut block, that's how you really learn how to play the game. And so I think kind of going out there in 9-on-7 and taking on ISO, that'll get you ready for the spread. It might be a little different, but it's the way the game was built, and it's good for you.
A lot of talk about offense here. Let's talk about defense and Tony White. What appealed to you about him? What made him the right guy to run this D?
I had Phil Snow as my defensive coordinator for all 10 years as I've been a head coach, and I GA'd for Phil, and I love Phil, and I think he's the best. As he decided to retire, I had to kind of go out and reinvent what we did, and I wasn't married to anyone's scheme, but there's two things I like about defense when we're good on defense. A, the scheme fits the players. Like, if we got a bunch of linebackers, let's play with them. If we have a bunch of D-line, let's play with them. Like, I want the best players on the field. And as I looked at Tony at Syracuse and before that Arizona State, he was versatile. He was multiple. And then I don't want to sit back and just read and react, man. I want to get after people. I want to hit the quarterback. I want to knock balls out. I want to create negative plays. And so I saw Tony doing that at Syracuse. I saw how multiple he was. And when I talked to him, I've known him for a long time. He was a player at UCLA, just finishing as I was a GA at UCLA. I love how smart he was. I think he's a future head coach, and I was glad he decided to come.
How do you get a black shirt these days in Nebraska?
It's funny. I took the job, and everyone asked, Coach, are you going to do black shirts? I'm like at Temple and at Baylor. If you go back to both those places, the starting defense wore black jerseys in practice.
Really?
I'm a child of the '90s. Like that's what you did in college football back then. Like, you wore a black shirt because Nebraska did it. So it's been done a lot of different ways. I went right to this. I went to Coach Osborne. I said, Coach,
what do you say?
Coach, if you know Coach, he's like, well, Matt, starting defense, they wore black jerseys in practice. I'm like, no. Anything else? Like, did you have enough ceremony? He's like, no, Matt. Starting defense, wore black jerseys in practice. Maybe 11 to 14 guys, and that's kind of all we did. And you know what? It was a beautiful thing that's taken on a life of its own. And I think it's really cool that our players will know that they can be part of that brotherhood if they earn it.
You guys have taken advantage of the transfer portal. How are those players integrated into the system, and how's that going for you?
It's gone really well, and I think it's because they all came in. We only took one portal player after the spring. Everyone came in the winter, and so the guys that were from Nebraska that had been there, the guys coming in, no one really knew what to expect. It's a whole new staff, new system, new head coach. Josh Fleeks had played for me at Baylor, came in. He was the one guy that knew what to expect. So I think they were all kind of at ground zero learning together. But they're all grateful to be at Nebraska, and they've done a really nice job.
I want to ask you about the schedule before we let you go here. 2 really interesting games to start off, right? I mean, your conference game against Minnesota, which is a burgeoning rivalry game for sure, and then you have a game that certainly for those who are well-versed in the history of the old Big 8, Nebraska and Colorado, I mean, it was an enormous game. You got both those games on the road. The fan base is going to be really engaged in both of them. Tell me what the mentality is when you have games like that really, I mean, every game matters, people in Nebraska, but those games really are going to matter. What's it like starting off?
It's like, hey, welcome to Nebraska. Hey, here's your first 2 games. They're Power 5 opponents on the road.
Yeah,
good luck.
Yeah, good luck. Hope it goes
know what,
well.
though? My message to our guys is simple. Like, I didn't come to Nebraska to not play great teams. And our guys didn't come to Nebraska to not play the best on the road and in elite environments. Like, I remember Colorado, Nebraska, what that is. And I have so much respect for Minnesota, the way they play. So we came here for this. And so, we'll find out about our team really quickly, who we are, what we need to be better at, what we are good at. It's going to make for a really, really, really intense training camp, which I think is going to be fun.
All right, interested to see it. We'll be out there. Our first stop.
Yes, first stop.
Lincoln, Nebraska.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Right. Let's go.
A week from tomorrow.
Not that we have it on our calendar.
Excited to see it, Matt. Welcome to the Big Ten.
Thank you so much.
Yep. No one celebrates quite like Tom Allen. How about the Hoosiers getting the full Big Ten Media Days treatment? Picture with the Big Ten Championship trophy, among other exciting things to experience here. And very excited to be joined by 3 of the Hoosiers. Aaron Casey, Jaylin Lucas, Noah Pierre. Welcome, gentlemen. Great to have you with us.
Happy to be here.
All right, Noah and Aaron, I'm going to start with you guys because Jaylin wasn't here 2 years ago, wasn't on this team 2 years ago, but you had a great year. You had a season to remember. And so now the question, and Noah, I can ask you first, but Aaron, I'm obviously interested in your thoughts too. How do you get back to that? How do you kind of recapture the glory of 2 years ago after it has fallen off here a little bit in the last couple of years?
I mean, just focusing on the little things. Coach Allen always preached to us, focus on the details and focus on what's important and keep the main thing the main thing.
Well, what's the main thing?
The main thing for us is belief. So we've been instilled belief all summer, and they're taking that into camp. And so I believe if we just stick to that mindset and attack every day as hard as we can with the edge, then we can have a successful season.
One of the things that's really interesting in going over your roster, and Jaylin, I'll let you address this first, but interested in everyone's take on it, is you have so many new players from the portal. And obviously that's a great thing when you're coming off a year that wasn't as good as you want it to be, right? You get some new players, clearly guys who you believe can help. But I also think it's a challenge in integrating new players too, right? And you guys have a culture that you've established, you have a way of doing things, and now you have all kinds of new faces. You got that group, and you have the freshmen. So what's the challenge there, Jaylin? What's kind of like the balancing act when you've got new teammates and getting them up to speed?
I feel like the new teammates that we got from the transfer portal is some of the players that we needed to Indiana, and also to that. I feel like we need to build more of a leadership role and get to know each other. That's basically what Tom Allen been preaching over the past summer workouts, and just getting to know each other and just building that bond with each other will help for this upcoming season.
Noah, what would you add to that?
To piggyback off of what he said, just building those relationships. We do a lot of different things to, build the relationships throughout winter workouts, spring and summer. And we actually just did a program. It's actually called The Program with some Navy SEALs, and just going through that shared adversity with the guys really helps build relationships. You're able to lead them through different things like that. And, those guys that we got are great guys. Coach Allen and the rest of the staff did a great job through the selection process and the transfer portal. And like I said, they're great guys, great teammates, and hard workers. I mean, it's easy when they work hard. It's easy when they come in and just put their head down and work. So, yeah.
It's interesting you bring up the military, right? Because the military is maybe one of the ultimate examples of people who are thrown together.
Right.
Didn't necessarily choose one another. They chose what they wanted to do.
Right.
But they didn't necessarily choose the group they're with, and now you've got to figure out a way to work together. So tell me about that experience, the Navy SEALs, and what you learned in terms of team building and working towards a common goal.
Yeah, so it was a lot of team building and leadership skills. So we were given a task and a mission, a goal to complete the mission and work together to figure out what the problem is and how to solve it together. And so we went through different stages of the program, and guys were really able to bond together. I would say the most interesting part was the pool part of it. Like, they had us go into the pool and swim, and not everyone on the team can swim, so guys had to help each other out just to get through it. And so it was really a lot of team bonding and bringing guys together.
Interesting. What else stood out about that experience?
What else stood out about the experience was you're going to always need your teammates to help you no matter what, any tough situation. Also, I can say it was somebody that couldn't swim. Like, it was a time I had to go and jump in the water and go save one of my teammates.
Wow.
So that's what I learned, just always being there for your brother no matter how hard the time is.
One of the things I love that Coach Allen does every year is that each player has to pick a word, right? And there's the one word that they focus on for the year. I think it's great. I think it gives you so much insight into your goals individually, and it gives you insight into your mindset. So I always ask this every time the Indiana players are here. Tell me what your word is and tell me why you chose that word. And start with you, Noah.
Being a 6-year senior, it gets a little hard.
You're running out of words.
Yeah, it gets a little hard to select a word. But my one word this year was dog. And for me, it was just having that mentality to come in every day and work. And, you know, they say a little dog going to bark a lot, but we big dogs over here, so we about that bite too. You know, just people say that mama mentality, well, I want to have that dog mentality.
Jaylin?
My one word is reliable at all times. I feel like things that I do, like special teams, I got to be reliable on the field at all times. And also, like, just putting work in every day is a key to why I got to be reliable.
Aaron?
Yeah, for me, my one word is edge. And the reason why I picked edge is because I want to attack everything I do with a certain mindset, whether it be practice, workouts, even games. Just going into it with that edge mindset, I believe would really take me over the top.
Why don't you guys tell me a little bit about the defense, the two of you who play defense. Coach Wilt is back. Coach Guerreri added in, though, as well, a co-coordinator situation. What has he brought, and where do you think the defense is in terms of being at the level you need to be at to compete at the highest levels of the league?
Yeah, so Coach G, he's just like a youthful spirit. He brings a lot of energy, and every day in and day out. And so we have him as being a great football mind, great aspect, great addition to our team. I believe that he would do a well job. We also have a lot of the guys, new guys in our defense out the portal, and so having those guys come and put in the work, you can really see a change in our defense. A lot of the guys on the defensive line as well as in the DB room, the guys that came in and are ready to work.
No, I know you want to be a dog on that defense. Describe the rest of that group and the mentality there.
Like I said earlier, those guys just work really hard. Specifically, we got guys like Andre Carter, Kobe Minor. You know, those guys came in and put their head down and really worked. And we saw it in the spring, you know, early on, trying to learn the defense for those guys was, you know, I guess kind of rough in the beginning. But now where we are now is light years ahead of where we were. I mean, we still got a lot of work to do to get where we want to be for September 2nd. But, yeah, like I said, those guys just work really hard.
Jaylin, you had a really good season last year. You were named to some All-American teams as a return man. Tell me how you build on that year, and particularly how you get more involved in some other aspects of the offense, including the run game.
Basically, particularly off my freshman year, I just say I can thank God for that year, and I'm just want to elevate. I just want to elevate and just keep grinding. But like I say, my role is going to expand. You're going to see me at slot. You're going to see me at running back. You're going to see me all over the field. And I'm just ready. Like, I'm just fired up about it.
Tell me about the quarterback spot, and particularly about Taven Jackson. I know people are really excited about him transferring in. Mm-hmm. What does he bring to this program and to your offense?
Taven Jackson brings a lot to the table. I can say he's a very leader guy. He's playing a big role in the offense this year, and I can say he's just doing a lot of things different that we didn't seen. And also we got Dexter Williams, and we got Brendan Sorsby. I can say the quarterback room is stacked, and they got athletes all over the field this year.
All three of you guys are Southerners.
Yes, sir.
And you're playing in the Midwest. So I want to ask you the best thing about the Midwest, and I want to ask you the worst thing about the Midwest, but you can't say weather, right? Like, it's too easy to say weather. So best thing about the Midwest, worst thing about the Midwest. Aaron, lead us off.
Okay, well, yeah. For me, I've never been on the boat before until I got out to Indiana. So going out on Lake Monroe in Bloomington, just doing that, being able to ride jet skis and things like that has been an awesome part of my time here at IU. I would say that one of the worst things would have to be the weather. I mean,
no, you can't say the weather.
Other than that, I mean, I can't really.
There's nothing bad other than the weather.
Find a bad thing about IU or the Midwest.
All right, Jaylin.
One thing I like about the Midwest is a great time to go fishing all the time.
You're a big fisherman.
Yeah, I'm a big fisherman.
What do you fish for?
Probably I do freshwater fishing, so I catch like some little perch. I don't know how to bass fish like that.
Yeah.
But the worst thing about the Midwest, you said the weather, but you can't say the weather, but ain't nothing really too bad about the Midwest. I love it. It's good weather. I like the pretty flowers and stuff like that, but overall it's great.
No?
The best thing about the Midwest, I would have to say, you guys are very passionate. Well, the Midwest people are very passionate about football. I could say that's similar to Southern states. So I love that about being in the Midwest. The worst thing though that I would have to say is I can't get no good seafood out here. I'm from Miami, so
I thought food might come up. Yes.
Yeah, I can't get no good seafood out here, so that's probably the worst thing.
All right, so you fill up when you go home?
Oh, most definitely.
Definitely. Hey, Aaron, I want to ask you about your number. You're wearing number 44. That's a real honor in the Indiana program. It honors George Taliaferro, who is the first African-American player ever drafted in the NFL, really a legendary player. He was a great player at IU, an amazing man. What does it mean to have been chosen to wear that number?
Yeah, so it really means a lot. Ever since I stepped foot on IU's campus, George Taliaferro I've been hearing his name around and just seeing, we actually built a statue of him in front of our stadium this past few years. So just seeing him, hearing about his legacy, the type of things he went through here at IU and the things he was able to overcome, it's just really a blessing that they saw characteristics in me that was similar to him for me to carry on his legacy and wear the number 44.
Well, congratulations on that. A huge honor. No, I saw you switch numbers as well. Is there a significance to number 0?
Yeah, so y'all call me No on here, but everybody around the campus and the facilities call me NP, no problems. So when I switched,
wait, say that again.
NP,
no problems.
No
okay,
problems,
no
problems,
NP.
right?
Okay, got it.
So 0 is just not having any problems, no problems. I wanted to push that mentality on the team and wear the number 0 to remind myself, no problems.
Now, did you come up with that nickname, No Problems, for yourself, or did other people?
They just started calling me that, but I embraced it.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right, that's a good way to go through life, having no problems.
Right. Only solutions.
That's awesome. All right, hey guys, real pleasure to visit with all three of you. Best of luck this year to the Hoosiers, and I know you'll be back in this stadium at least once this season.
Louisville.
Yeah, taking on Louisville, and hopefully you'll be back a second time for the champ game as well. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Go Hoosiers.
Here is the outlook for Indiana. Some changes in the staff for Tom Allen. Really busy in the portal. 23 new players looking to reinforce a roster that actually brings back the least production of any in the conference. Tom Allen is with us now, head coach of the Hoosiers. It was a ton of fun to visit with your players just a few minutes ago. Really outstanding group of guys. And I was talking to Aaron and Noah, guys who were here 2 years ago when you were really good, about what it's going to take to recapture that. What's your message to the group as you look to get back to where you were at the end of that season?
Well, I think for us, it's just back to just doing the things that we do well, which is we got to run the football. We got to do a great job of getting on the field, off the field defensively. But we protected the ball really well those 2 seasons in 19 and 20, and that's both sides of the ball. It's creating takeaways on defense, and it's protecting it on offense. And we were really, really good in the fourth quarter.
we won those close games. We had 8 games this past season that came down to the fourth quarter, and we're decided in the fourth quarter. And we found a way to finish those on a positive note in 19 and 20, and we didn't in 21 and 22. So to me, the league we play in, that's the way it's going to be again. We got to find a way to finish those games.
Defense has dropped off a little bit these last couple of years. You've reconfigured how you have the defense arranged. So kind of bring us up to date on that, on play calling, and how all that's going to fit together.
Yeah, we have, so I felt strongly about, calling it a year ago because of I felt like it was best for what we needed in regards to, getting us back to being where we wanted to be structurally and schematically. And, but also, and I knew it was going to be hard, with the dynamic. Last time I called it was 18 before all of the portal and before the NIL piece. And there's a lot of things going on, so I just felt like bringing someone in that has called it, that has a chance to be able to learn what we do and is already similarly aligned with what we do and to add to what we do. And that's Matt Guerrieri. And so I really feel excited about adding him to our staff. And so to me, it's just about trying to find the best way for me to be the best head coach of the football team that I can be. And so because of that, Matt's going to be calling the defense, and Chad Willis going to be their co-DCs together, and they're going to work. And Chad really focused on the front seven, and Matt really focused on the back end. And I'm just excited about our staff because I spent a lot of time with them defensively, but I also need to spend some time with our offense.
Coach, most of the coaches who have sat with us these last 2 days have mentioned how their personal schedule, whether you call them defenses or not, has been impacted by the NIL and the portal. Are you spending daily time on those things?
I would think so, yes.
Really?
And honestly, it was way more than I really anticipated,
Right. Everyone, it sounds like.
No question. And so it got to the point where I'm like, you know what, I'm not at my best. There's too many things going on. And so that's not going to change. So I had to change, and I had to make an adjustment to that. And so, yeah, I think it's the new part of what we have to deal with as coaches. And so you have to really do a tremendous job. And so for me, I still want to be with our players.
Right.
And so what has to give? Well, you know what? So all that extra time watching film to call the defense, I need to have that time to spend with our players. And so that's the adjustment we're going to make. And so to me, everybody's got to build it the way you feel is best for you and your staff. And I think that's something we all as head coaches have to understand and recognize that things are different now. It's a new era of college football, and we need to be able to be in position to be the best head coach, not just one side of the ball or the other.
You talked about being able to run the ball, getting back to that. How do you see this offensive line shaping up to be able to lead that run game?
Well, you obviously bringing Bob Bostad in was a big part of that, and his track record of identifying talent and developing talent in this conference is pretty clear. And so really excited to have him. He's a Midwest guy. He understands that, trying to find some Midwest players, to be able to help us in that area. And I will say this, that, his toughness, his attention to detail was evident in the spring, and he's a machine. He's just relentless in his approach, and it's been good for our guys. So because it starts up front. We've got to be great in that area. We got to be able to have success in that area, and obviously, a change was made, and he's the one that I believe is going to help us improve that area. Because here's the bottom line: when you can do that, that changes both your offense and it obviously affects your defense and keeps them off the field.
Yeah, your offensive linemen will work harder in pre-practice than they work in practice. He gets after him.
He gets after him. There's no question about it.
I think I have this right. You have 4 starters coming back on offense and 2 on defense. How does that impact camp, especially with how much contact that you're going to go through?
Well, you're right. And so I think that for us, we modified already our schedule to where we're doing a lot of individual time, because I want to make sure we're doing a great job with fundamentals and technique of our football team, because at the end of the day, you got to block and you got to tackle at a high level. And so, but for me also, it's about we're going to do some split squad work to get more guys reps to what you're addressing, because we got a lot of new faces, and I got to get a lot of guys opportunities to get a lot of reps. So instead of just having one group going, we're O versus D, we're going to have 4 groups going, one offense, one defense against another group offense, all at the same time, to be able to go back and forth. And so, to me, that's going to be huge in regards to developing our players, getting them more reps, getting more guys ready to play. And then when we get into that second scrimmage, we kind of decide who our top 2 groups are going to be, then we'll focus on that group.
When you talk about having 4 groups going, is it more important then from a coaching standpoint to coach those guys when you get back into the film room, or do you try to give them that immediate feedback on the field?
You're going to have to be able to do a great job in the film room. And so, because the way we do it's kind of a rapid fire approach where we have both groups going out so the staff can go both directions, and you go, this play goes, and you turn around and go the other side. And so, but to me, we're going to coach as much as we can in a split-second time, then you got to be able to go and get a chance to coach off the film. But at the same time, we're going to do a great job of getting that feedback as quick as possible.
Quarterback's such an important position. Give us the lay of the land in that room.
Yeah, you got two guys that right now came out of spring football that we're looking at, and that's Brendan Sorsby and Taven Jackson, and both redshirt freshmen. And love both guys. They've really grown in their leadership this summer, which has been huge. And be able to see them grow and develop throughout fall camp is going to be a big part of this. And at the end of the day, you got to be able to pick a guy that you feel is the best, that's going to allow us to be able to score points and be able to move the football on offense. And so there's a lot of belief that goes into that. So the locker room and the guys that are in that huddle as well, even though we don't technically huddle, that are on that side of the football with them, have to believe that guy is going to allow us to be able to have success and get the ball in the end zone. And so I just know that it's a process we go through. I'm excited about fall camp to figure this out.
You open with Ohio State. How does having a game that challenging from the get-go impact the way that you prepare?
Well, we've done it 5 out of the last 7 years. I've been the head coach. So we've had Big Ten openers consistently. This is the second time we've opened against the Buckeyes. So I've seen it firsthand. It creates tremendous urgency in everything you do in the spring, in the summer, and in the fall camp. But here's what I also think it does. When you have a chance to make it through that process, it helps you, I think, be more prepared for weeks 2, 3, and 4. Because of everything you go into to be able to prepare for a team of this caliber that's going to be able to play at a high level right out of the gate. A lot of new faces, challenging without question, but it excites me because it's going to accelerate, I believe, the growth of our team.
I think the natural follow-up to that question is, are you looking forward to the end of the East and the West?
Well, I tell you what, it's going to be different, and you look at the 24 schedule, which has already been put out. Right. We don't play Ohio State, we don't play Michigan, for the first time in a long time during the regular season. So you know what? I'm excited about being able to have a more equitable schedule for the whole conference, for teams playing other teams a similar amount of times in the way it's been the last several years. So, it's something that I believe is a very exciting new era of the Big Ten, and I can't wait.
How important is it going to be to find creative ways to get Jaylin the football?
Yeah, very important. He's a special player, and his acceleration is unique. He has both quickness and long speed, which is rare. And so he's a guy that is very effective in space. So from a special teams perspective, you want to give him as many opportunities as possible in that opportunity. As an offensive player, as both a running back and as a slot receiver, I see that being something that's going to be able to be grown with him and expanded with his opportunity because he needs to touch the football without question.
Coach, you were talking a little bit about bringing in as many new players as you have, and you were talking about it kind of on the practice field and what that looks like in terms of getting everyone reps and figuring out who can do what. I guess I'm interested in it as well culturally, and I think it's just like this is what it is, right? I mean, this is what college football is, so this is a non-judgmental statement, but it's just so different from when you get young people as a freshman and you kind of bring them up to speed gradually on who you are, and they begin to understand this program, and you all have kind of this common set of beliefs and everything that's been instilled through the years. You've got to get everyone up to date on your culture between the freshmen and the transfers, and we're talking about close to 50 players, right? And so how do you do that? Like, is there a way to fast forward that to get that ready?
Well, it's challenging. I would agree with that, and I think that but the process for building relationships, that does take some time. And so what we've had to do, though, is accelerate it by multiplying what we do as a football team. We've done more team-building activities than I've ever done with a group of guys. It started in January, and to creating accountability teams and activities that they do together, activities at our home, which we've done all along, but still making that more of a priority to be able to connect with guys and be able to spend more time. I've actually increased the number of meetings I have with our guys individually in this offseason. Why? Because I want to continue to get to know them at a higher level, and I want them to get to know each other as well. So, we just had our annual basketball competition, where you just once in the assembly hall, playing, just doing different things, just hanging out together, competing, having fun, but spending quality time together. Played, paintball during the summertime, by position groups, being able to compete, have fun together. Once again, it's just trying to connect. And then, once again, with our leadership council, we got 25 guys on that. The charge all spring's been, go find ways to connect with your teammates. Spend time with them. Go out to eat with them. Have them over to your apartment. Video games together, just trying to once again accelerate that ability to connect with your teammates. Why? Because I still believe this, always will, the best teams care about each other and love each other, and that happens over time, but we had to accelerate the calendar on that because of the nature of the movement of college football.
Coach, I know you're really connected with the Indiana high school coaches because that's your background. Have you gotten pushback about less scholarship offers for the high school guys because of the portal?
Oh, there's definite concern, and so talking to coaches about that, and I know that that's a reality that we're dealing with. And I will say this, and as the COVID players continue to cycle out, that will have less. In fact, we still have a couple more classes of that. Once they cycle out, I think it'll level out a little bit, which will help in those numbers. Because at the end of the day, we still got 85, and so. But when you have the extra guys in that formula, that's caused some of those spots to be taken by those guys that have a fifth and a sixth year that they may not have had in the past. So I think that will help, but there's no question. And I did tell him this. Sometimes it may force a young man to have to maybe be recruited at a level down from where he should have been. But he's going to have to understand that and go for that and be able to react to the possibilities of what can I do to make myself have value.
Right. Indiana head coach Tom Allen, always pleasure to visit with you. Look forward to seeing you at camp, and thanks again for your time, Coach.
Look forward to seeing you guys as well. Elio.
Big year for the Gophers last year. Big night last night. St. Elmo, the famed shrimp cocktail. If you are not familiar with the shrimp cocktail tradition, the shrimp isn't the issue, it's the cocktail. Yeah. Right? It is the sauce. All right, so I need everyone to describe the experience of eating that sauce and how it affected your nasal passages.
Well, for me, I truly believe that shrimp needs to be studied because nothing should taste like that. It shouldn't be that intense for those 10 seconds and just disappear. But I enjoyed it. It was a very weird experience, but it was a very good piece of shrimp.
By the way, I haven't introduced everyone, right? So I want to make sure everyone knows we got Kris Autman-Bell, Tyler Nubin, Brevyn Spann-Ford. So that was Chris's take on it. Tyler, I need your take on the shrimp cocktail.
It was good, but that was the first and last time. Like I said, that was the last time. I can't do that again. I don't even like spicy stuff. I can't even eat hot sauce, man.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't
all right.
do it.
Fair assessment. Yeah. Brevyn?
I think I was more intrigued about eating it. Like, I ate all of it, but it was because I just couldn't understand how it was really hurting my – it was hurting. Right. It was hurting my nose.
So so the nose, and then I also always say like my forehead gets this weird tingle where you feel like your brain may explode.
I almost spit it out.
If you see in the video, you see Brev like take a step back from the table. We all thought it was going down.
How are the steaks?
Amazing.
Yeah, the steaks are amazing.
Dry aged amazing.
Yeah, no, it's a big time place. Okay, so we have a 5th-year guy, a 6th-year guy, and a 7th-year guy.
Right down the line.
Up here on this set. So I guess I'm interested in like what has kept each one of you in Minnesota. I understand injuries were part of it, but like what has made Minnesota the right fit for each one of you where you decided, hey, I want this other year, I want a couple other years, I want 3 other years. What is it about the place? And Brevyn, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I would say for me, being from St. Cloud, Minnesota, obviously it's home. So coming back was kind of a no-brainer for me. I felt like I had a good year, but I want to have a great year this year. So coming back with my brothers, that was an easy decision.
Tyler?
Yeah, I just felt like I would be kicking myself if I didn't, take the opportunity to come back with my brothers, man. Especially, when I knew Kris and Brev were coming back, man. I just feel like we can do a lot with this team, and I've made a lot of great memories at Minnesota. I just wasn't ready for them to be done yet.
Kris?
Exactly. Piggybacking off those guys, it just felt like home, man. I wanted to finish out the right way, prove to myself that I had another season in me to be a Golden Gopher and to finish out strong with these guys, man. Have fun.
You obviously all enjoy playing for Coach Fleck.
Fleck for probably. People say 7, but it's really like 9 or 10 because I was with him at Western before he came here.
Right.
He knows everything about me. I know everything about him. That's my guy, man. He's my twin in a way. So the energy he brings every day, the passion and love that he invests into other people, I love it and I cherish it.
Now he literally was Tanner Morgan's twin, right?
Literally.
I mean, they were separated at birth.
When Tanner cut their arm, he was definitely his like look-alike.
He was absolutely channeling his inner Fleck. What about for you, Tyler?
Yeah, just like Kris said, man, the energy he brings, man, it's unmatched, bro. And you could tell that it's not fake, and everybody else, feels that and they know it's real. So, it's really easy to emulate that on the field when you're playing.
Brevyn?
Yeah, I would say just the passion he has for all of his players. If you tell him you have a dream, he's going to work for it just as hard as you are for it. So that's what I really appreciate about Coach Fleck.
I brought this up when he was on the set with us. I mean, you think about the success that Minnesota's program has had. So you guys have won 9 or more games 3 times in the last 4 years. Prior to that, since 1905, it had happened twice. That Minnesota had won 9 or more games. So you're all nodding, so you're aware of that. Like, you know, this is unprecedented. What does it mean to be a part of this program that is having this level of success? And again, like, look, they won national championships in the 30s. Like, I understand all that. I'm not saying Minnesota's never been this good on a national scale, but I'm saying, like, by some measures, this is as good as it's been in quite some time.
It feels awesome to be a part of history and be a part of this team and be a part of the teams that have made that history. So just to continue to do our job every day, make each other better, continue to become better young men, and just continue to grow, man. I'm grateful and blessed to be a part of this history. I'm sure they feel the same.
Tyler?
Yeah, most definitely. Honestly, I feel like that's really one of the main reasons why I came here. When I committed, Coach Fleck told me, my class, Brevyn's class, Kris' class is going to be, the classes that really change things, around in Minnesota and bring back that winning tradition. So just seeing that, all come to light and, seeing why I came here, like, really come in happening, it's awesome.
For all of that success, one thing you guys have not done is come and played here in the Big Ten championship game. You've been close. You've kind of been on the precipice a number of times. It just hasn't happened. So, Brevyn, what would it take for it to happen this year? Like, how does it come together for Minnesota?
A saying that Coach Fleck likes to say is to go the place you haven't been, you got to do the things you haven't done. So I think we put our best foot forward this winter with the start of winter workouts and then into the summertime. And now we just have to take that next step into fall camp.
Tyler, I think when you talk about the great defensive coordinators in the Big Ten, for some reason, I think Coach Rossi maybe gets a little overlooked. There have been some amazing defenses in the league, and so I do think, like, there's a lot of guys he's being considered with. But it's remarkable to me how consistent this defense has been the last couple of years. So, look, part of it's players, but part of it clearly is scheme. What makes him so good?
I think it's a combination of both, but I feel like it's also the process and, like, how we actually go about our business, go about learning the defense, go about doing our film study, getting prepared for the week and our opponent that we have. I feel like our process is second to none. And since Coach Rossi took over as the defensive coordinator, it's just gotten better every single year, so that's why we stay so consistent.
Okay, so film you mentioned is part of the process. What else goes into that process? Like, take us through Sunday through Saturday, right? Like, what is that process of going from starting to learn an opponent to going out on the field and dominating?
Yeah, well, honestly, I feel like a lot of that starts in the preseason and the off season, learning the defense, learning the different adjustments that we might have to make during the season, because when we get to the season, there's not really a lot of time to go back over things, learn new adjustments and things like that. So we're always working on our adjustments and the things that we might need to use in spring ball, during the summer and fall camp, so that when we get to the season, it's just like second nature. We're like, oh yeah, you remember that adjustment we made in fall camp? All right, this is what we're gonna do this week. So that's a part of our process that we use, and that's how we're able to be so consistent and change up our defenses every week, depending on what opponent we're using.
Kris, we were alluding to it, 7th year for you. Injury's a big part of that. Tell me about your rehab this past year and what you learned about yourself in the process of going through it.
Just the will to keep going. I tell everyone all the time, man, I'm on God's timing. Whatever God has it for me, I'm follow His trail and keep going. I had a bunch of help from my guys in the training room, like Joe, Sip, even the ladies, Katie and Ashley, my teammates like Ty and Brev, and people back home. It's just, I can't do everything by myself. I couldn't get back in rehab right without everyone being with me and being together. So I needed everyone with them. I needed Coach Fleck, Coach Simon, Coach Harbaugh, my entire teammates, my family, my mom, everyone. So it's been an exciting process. I'm so excited to get back.
Well, I know Gopher fans are excited to have you back. It is a bit of a changing face on this offense, and we already talked about Tanner. He was there for a long time. He's gone. Mo Ibrahim was such a huge part of what you guys did as well. So I'm interested kind of from both of the offensive players. Tell us about some of the new faces that we ought to be really excited about here, Brevyn.
Yeah, so definitely in that wide receiver room, Elijah Spencer and Corey Crooms. Those are two new incoming transfers from Charlotte and Western Michigan that I think will have a really big impact early for us, as well as Sean Tyler, running back from Western Michigan. Those to go along with the newcomers, we brought in a lot of talent over these past couple months. So I'm really excited to see how they do this fall.
Anyone else stand out to you, Kris?
I think the guys that are already there, we can't forget about the LeMacky Brockingtons and Daniel Jackson, all those guys as well. Even the younger guys with him behind his position, like J-Mo as well, at tight end. We just got a bunch of guys we can bring together and just make one. If we play together as one, I don't see anyone stopping us. So.
Brevyn, you're being mentioned very prominently as a future NFL player and a high draft pick. what can you do in this year to improve, not necessarily your draft stock, but improve yourself as a player to be NFL ready? Like, what are your priorities?
My priority right now is just showing up and being the best teammate I can be. The NFL stuff will come on later, but right now I'm just focused on finishing this last season with my guys.
Tell me about your podcast series. I watched a few of those on YouTube. They're fun. Brevyn's Barber Shop. So you have your buddies come in and you just kind of shoot the breeze with them.
Yeah.
Is this, first of all, tell people about it, and then I'm just interested, like, is it something you want to do?
Yeah, so I kind of got brought the idea last August, right before fall camp, and I really didn't expect myself to do super well on it, but I took it and kind of ran with it, made my own questions up, and interviewed my teammates, and it's kind of grown into this little thing that everyone's always mentioning, like, what's up, Brav's Barbershop, like, stuff like that. So it's pretty funny around the facility, but we got season 2 dropping this fall. So,
really?
Yeah.
So where can people find it?
You'll find it on the Go for Football Instagram.
Okay. Have you guys both been in the barbershop?
I was the first episode, wasn't I?
Yeah. Chris was the first episode.
I have not been in yet.
You have not been invited.
I gotta get on season 2.
Yeah, premiere.
Yeah, I gotta get on.
I mean, are you like? You can tell. You don't have to tell. You can tell me. Right? Like,
he didn't invite me. I don't
slightly
know.
offended?
I'm offended.
You're gonna have
offended.
to talk to my producers.
I'm trying to figure out who I need to talk to.
Look at you. Well, you've already learned how to pass the buck.
Yeah,
That's
exactly. We're good.
Right. I mean, that's a good showbiz move right there. But is this something you'd want to do? Like, if you go to the NFL, is this something you'd want to do?
I've never really put a bunch of thought into it, but I mean, definitely, I'll think about it for sure.
Yeah. Well, they're fun. I watch a couple of them.
Appreciate it.
You do a good job with it. There doesn't seem to be any actual haircutting, though.
No.
In the barbershop.
We were talking about this earlier. I might watch a couple YouTube videos, and Nubin said he would offer up his hair.
I would not. I did not say
that. Well, he's desperate to be on the barbershop, right?
If that's what I got to do, I don't know if I want to go there.
At this point, he would do just about anything to be in there. I've got to say, you're really asking a lot of your teammates if you haven't actually cut hair. And yes, but yeah. Hey, you guys have a new quarterback this year, and of course, we saw in the highlights on the way in, Nathan's played a fair amount here, but this is the first time now that he takes the mantle. For those who are catching passes from him, tell us about his strengths as a QB.
His arm is for sure. Nathan has a huge arm. This is the ability to learn and keep going. He's a exciting learner, fast learner. His ability to he knows his voice is very impactful now, so he's starting to speak up now. He's been doing a bunch of film study, getting with us as receivers, and understanding his progress and how he thinks about certain plays. He's taking that next step to be a huge leader now. He's getting tattoos now. He's grown up a little bit and grown up on me, so I'm excited to see him take that step, especially in fall camp.
What's he getting tattoos of?
What did he get? He had one. He has something.
He got some Bible verses.
Like something that means family or something. But he got a new tattoo. It's starting to fill up. He's showing a little ink on his arm now.
All right.
So, yeah.
All right. What else would you make of him besides body art?
Yeah, I would definitely say his ability to improvise. He's very creative, and he can make plays outside the pocket. That's what I think Coach Fleck touched on it earlier in one of his interviews, just his ability to create. You got to give him that freedom to go and make plays.
I want to leave you guys with this. You open up on a Thursday night against Nebraska. It's such an opportunity, I always think, like especially that opening weekend when everyone's excited about football, but to be playing on a Thursday when pretty much the whole country is going to be watching. What does that opportunity mean for each of you?
It's amazing, man. We can start off the college football season the right way if we play together and continue to play as one. I'm excited. Everyone's excited. We get to open up the college football season to be the primetime game, so we're looking forward to it.
That's why you play college football, man. It's why you come to a school like this, why you play this game, so couldn't ask for anything more.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's cool to start it off on the home front. Nebraska, they always travel well, so it'll be a great game, great matchup.
A lot of fun to visit with all three of you guys. Best of luck this year to the Gophers. Best of luck in the barber shop. Don't let them do anything crazy here. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Real pleasure.
Man.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Have a great year. Got it done on the field. Got it done in the wardrobe department as well. The Terp showing off. Looking pretty good. You got not bad. And welcome to the Maryland players. Great to have Roman Hemby, Tarheeb Still, Leah Tagovailoa. Guys, first of all, welcome. You made a quick trip of it, I gathered. You did not. You came in this morning. You're leaving today, but you're making your presence felt, right?
Yes, sir.
So,
Yes, sir.
who's most proud of their wardrobe here? Give me the lowdown here, Roman. Tell us what you're wearing and
okay.
you know.
Okay, so I had a Gucci inspired suit today. My mother, she's big on fashion. I'm big on fashion. She helped me put this together. I got some Gucci here and there. Got my logo all and throughout. I just feel really good. They say you feel good, you look good, everything's good. So, and then everything's Gucci, she said.
Tarheeb?
With me, this is a custom suit. Shout out my guy Brian Alexander, Bespoke. He always gets me right. He done a ton of suits for me. He told me he had something different for me media day. He didn't show me until a couple days ago. I seen it. I was really excited, and I got a lot of good responses out here. So
awesome. How about you, Leah?
Same for me. Me and he went to the same person, Brian Alexander. It's actually my first custom suit ever. So
yeah,
I'm happy.
Fits pretty well.
Happy I gotta have something with my name on it. So it's nice.
You guys have been playing so well here last couple of years, and we were talking about it with Locks and back-to-back winning seasons. First time in 8 years. You go back, 15 years for 2 seasons where you had as many wins as you've had the last 2 years. What are you proudest of in terms of the accomplishments of this team? And Roman, I can start with you.
I just think outside of football, we got a great brotherhood, and just being a part of this process for the last 2 years, going into my 3rd year, I feel like I can see the growth that we've made as a team. Obviously going to back-to-back bowl games and winning 2, and that's something that hasn't been done in Maryland for a little minute. So just being a part of history and looking forward to building on that and having a better season this upcoming season.
Tarheeb?
Well, first I'll start like Roman said, just off the field, building the brotherhood. That's where it really starts. You got to get to know your teammates, get to know your guys, and really that makes you want to go hard and play for them. And that's what Coach Locks is instilling in us, and that's what I'm really excited about. Taking the field with my brothers and just getting to go out there and compete on Saturdays.
Leah, I want to ask you a little bit about the change in the staff. You got Josh Gaddis now running this offense. The kind of success he's had. 2 years ago, he's the National Assistant Coach of the Year, won the Broyles Award.
Yep.
What's the offense? I know a lot of it is Locks' offense, but how does the offense compare to what you've been doing? Has it been, what kind of transition have you seen here?
It's been good learning from Coach Gaddis as well as Coach Sumlin.
Yeah, Kevin Sumlin as well, right?
Yeah, I think our offense, when Coach Gaddis came in, he really emphasized the details of the plays and stuff. He added in some of his plays as well, and I think it's been really good for us. I think the biggest thing for us last year, we didn't really take shots down the field. Most of it's on my part. We had opportunities and we didn't throw it, and I think with Coach Gaddis and Coach Sumlin here, I think we'll be making more down the field throws and really airing the ball out and stuff like that. So I think it's going to be good.
Roman, what have you seen changes offensively?
I just get to see my guys happy. Going into a different year and having a new offense, we got a lot more plays to be made. We got a lot of playmakers that are ready to make plays, and just getting to go in there every day and know that we're going to pick defenses apart and we're going to put numbers on the board. And who doesn't want to do that, especially when you're playing in the Big Ten against great competition week in and week out.
New running back coach as well, Latrell Scott. What can you tell us about him and what he's brought to that room?
Yeah, just from what I've seen so far, he's a great coach. I have a great relationship with him already, and he's only been here for a few months now. But I've seen a lot of our drill work translate already. When he came in before spring ball, we hit the ground running, and I'm excited. I'm ready to see how it translates because I already seen a little bit of growth in my game in the little bit of time that he's been here already.
Tarheeb, more than 2,500 receiving yards in high school. Any thought of getting in on the offensive side of the ball at all, or are you pretty comfortable with where you are?
Well, actually, that's something me and Coach Locks actually used to joke around about when he was first recruiting me when I first got here, that he would let me play offense before I left. So he let me run some routes a couple times. So I think it may happen, but if it doesn't, I'm not too bad about it.
I am always interested because so many players, right, are great two-way players in high school. I don't think that's that unusual. How do you decide? Were people recruiting you for offense? What's kind of your decision-making process at the side of the ball you want to play on?
So actually, it's interesting because I would say my first 15 to 20 offers were at receiver.
Okay.
And then my coach in high school told me if I played DB, like I would go further, it would take me further. And then I started to like it more. It was more of a challenge. I started to embrace it, matching up with guys, and that just seemed to bring the best out of me playing defense.
I want to ask you guys a little bit about NIL. I think one of the really cool things is that it does give players a chance to host youth camps. Roman, I know you were involved in that this year. Tell me about your camp and tell me about the impact it had on the young people and the impact it had on you.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It was something that I feel like shaped me to be who I am. It had a lot to do with my parents growing up. Just giving back, always wanted to give back and be in my community. And now that I'm at a point in my life where I kind of have a little bit of a status where I'm from and I have a little bit of a voice that can impact others, what better way to get out in the community and give back, because that's the future of our nation. And, you know, they have a lot of people that just are looking for a sense of hope. And I'm just glad I was able to be there to give it to them.
Tarheeb, Leah, I know you've been involved in similar things. Like, what's it like to see young people who look up to you in the way that they do?
Yeah, like Roman said, it's a blessing. Some of these kids are, you know, less fortunate than us. You know, they come from different backgrounds and stuff like that. And when they see someone pull up to their local park and it's someone that they see on TV and stuff like that, you know, they get really excited. And that's really what it's all about, making the young kids smile and working with them and impacting their lives.
Tarheeb?
I would say it's just a really good opportunity to get out and touch the kids in the community, really just impacting their lives, going to schools, talking to different kids, and really just letting them see that we were like them one day, and then just talking to them, making them realize that there's someone there for them that they can always call to talk to, or just anything, and then let us be a positive role model for them. Let them see us doing something positive, and then they want to follow that. So I feel like that's good.
Well said. Roman, we were at camp last year, and we said to Locks, like, what's going on with the running back spot? And he said, you know, we got a couple guys. And went over there, and he pointed you out and pointed out Antoine, and it was pretty evident that this attack was in good hands. We were talking about this earlier with Blake Corum. Running back is interesting, right? It's not quarterback, there's just one ball. There's just one guy. Running back, you know, you can split carries. So tell me, like, kind of the balancing act with you and Antoine, and how you feel like you can share the ball and share some of the spotlight.
Yes, sir. Being in the Big Ten, we know a lot of the times during the season people get worn down, and that's just the nature of everything. But I feel like we have a great running back room, not just me and Antoine outside of that. And we got a lot of people that can make plays on the field no matter when they're given the opportunity. And just being a close-knit group and a close-knit family, we want to see each other succeed, and we don't care who gets the glory. And I feel like that's what makes our group so special.
Leah knows what's coming here. I've done this every year with the guys who are on the desk.
I like this.
Okay. I want you to do the best job you can in spelling Tagovailoa.
Tagovailoa. I know how to spell it, man. I know how to spell it. That's my quarterback right there.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Come on now.
It has never been done. We've had a couple guys that haven't gotten past T. All right, so Tarheeb, you just heard it. Can you do it?
Tago. Nah. He got me. I can't do it.
That's my quarterback.
There it is. There it is.
That's QB1.
Tagovailoa.
Yeah. All right. I mean, he can spell still.
And
Hemby. Yeah. Hey, guys, what would it take for Maryland to be a success this year? Like, if you look back at the end of the year, say it's a good year for the Terps, what needs to have happened?
We talk about this as a team a lot. Our strength coach actually brings it up to us, and he says there's about 9 plays that kind of decided our season last year. And I feel like in order for us to have a successful season and take that next step, we want to be on the right side of those 9 plays this time. And hopefully we'll be where we want to be at the end of this.
Tarheeb?
Exactly what Roman said. And also I would just say just chasing consistency, week in and week out. Proper preparation for the game, put yourself in the right position to succeed. I feel like, and then just winning those weeks, those days in practice, those Mondays through Thursdays, those preparation days, just so you feel confident and give yourself a chance going into those games.
Leah, give you the last word on this.
Yeah, all in all, what they really meant to say was a successful season to us is winning 10-plus games and winning the Big Ten championship.
Yes, sir.
It's good of you to translate there for your teammates. Hey, congratulations on winning the spelling challenge.
Thank you.
Right, I mean,
it means a lot.
That was so. Did you make a point to, like, at some point, I'm going to learn how to spell Leah's last name, or you just?
Funny thing is, Leah might not even remember this, but about a year back, we were all in the cold tub after we got some extra work in, and he was quizzing us, asking us who knew how to spell it, and I was the only one that spelled it right back then.
Right.
I don't know if he thought I would forget it in a year, but he's still my dog, so I got to know his last name.
Well done. You're the first to pull it off. This is the third year you've been here, right?
Crazy though.
Third year you've been here.
Because we knew the test was coming.
You knew it was coming?
I knew it was coming.
Seriously?
I still couldn't pass.
Oh, man, you could have studied on the plane. You could have crammed. All right, well, it was a ton of fun to visit with all three of you. Hope to see you back here coming up in December. They have won the last 2 Big Ten championship games here. Again, they have never won 3 straight outright titles. They have a ton of production back. They got some Heisman candidates on this team. They are predicted by the media to be the team that will win the Big Ten once again this year. The head coach of the 2-time defending Big Ten champs, Jim Harbaugh, is with us. Coach, what has it meant to you to raise this program back to the position that I know you believe it should be at, a program that means so much to you?
Yeah, it's been great. I've had that feeling of doing that as a player, winning the championship, beating Ohio State. And then came back coaching in 2015. People said that. People said, Coach, you got to beat Ohio State. Just beat Ohio State. Everything's going to be great when you beat Ohio State. They were right. And now they say winning a national championship is great. I believe them. And again, this year, that is our goal, to win the championship and put ourselves in position, to be in position, the playoffs, and then win the semi-playoff game and win the national championship and beat Michigan State, beat Ohio State, and then there's Penn State, and every Saturday is a football fight for us. So we're working. The entire off season really. It seems like we just finished the season. Now we're starting the season again. That's what it feels like, because it's been work. Our players have really done an amazing amount of work. It shows in all their testing and all their performance, and our coaches, same. June, you would have thought, if you'd have come in our offices in June, the way the coaches were working, you would have thought it was mid-season, October. And now we're ready to start a new season.
You have a really veteran team. How does it change your approach when you have a lot of guys who have played a lot of football for you and been really good?
Well, the one thing that's been tremendous as a coach, for a coach, is that those veterans, because every year you have new freshmen. Every year,
right? A
new freshman class comes in. They're wide-eyed. They're coming from high school to college. They're going through a young man on their way to taking care of themselves, and I can just point to any direction, any position on our team. Hey, look at Blake Corum. Really watch him, really study him, and then emulate him, copy him, and then go make him proud of you. Hey, Kris Jenkins, just watch him, emulate him, copy him, and then go make him proud of you. There's about 35 different directions and guys I can point to, and almost a walk in the park for a coach when you have that kind of those kind of veteran players that are really walking, talking billboards for how to go about your business and how to attack everything that you're doing.
Coach, I've been studying Michigan football for a long time. Not as long as you, but when Coach Jack was on...
Coach Jack's been studying you too, Coach. We've been studying you.
When Coach Jack was on the staff,
right back at you.
And Bo was running it, it was Rose Bowl. And no one could ever say national championship, right? You remember those days. Don't talk about... Not that you couldn't have won it, not that you didn't want to win it, but never as vocal as you guys have been recently. Why the change?
from
saying it. In other words, you remember Bo saying, no one will talk about the national championship. We're going to the Rose Bowl. It wasn't a fact. Now it is for you. Now it is for Michigan. Not that you couldn't have won it back then.
Yeah.
But you couldn't talk about it.
Maybe. I mean, it's what you talk about inside your program, right? I mean, It's what you what you say as a coach to your players. It's what your players say to you. What's important to them. The things I've been telling them, now they're telling me. So, Coach, it doesn't matter what we did last year.
Right.
It doesn't matter what we did the year before. Now we're doing it again, and we're going for it all. Hey, let's go. They inspire me. They inspire me as a coach, and that's how we roll. I mean, gets the blood pumping, gets the little arms and the little hairs on the arms standing up. Doesn't it, Jared? I mean, how do you say no to that?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And guys like that. I mean, J.J. McCarthy. I mean, I have advised everybody in our program to follow J.J. wherever he is leading, including me. And he's that kind of player. He's that kind of teammate. It's a special quality. After all the talent, athletic ability, and arm talent, and everything that he has, he's also willing to do anything and everything for his teammates. And guys know that. Everybody on the team, you know this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they want to know what's in another man's heart.
Yeah.
Are you about us, or are you about yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And it takes very short time to realize that J.J. McCarthy is about us. He's about their teammates.
You mentioned how it seems like the season just ended and you guys are ramping back up again. How important has Ben Herbert been to you guys moving forward and getting this team prepared for what you need to accomplish the next step?
Yeah, I said it this way. He's the X factor of our program. Center of player development is in that weight room. Center of player development is on the field, with our assistant coaches. Best group of coaches any coach could ever ask for, and the level of excellence in our weight room is nobody has a Herb, nobody has a Ben Herbert, but we do, and every single one of us that goes into that gym to work out. I mean, they have a quiet heart knowing that they're not doing too much. They're not doing too little. I mean, they're doing just right. Hey, he got all those other guys right. He's going to get you right. He's going to get me right. And end of the day, he doesn't ever tell them anything he's not 100% sure of. 100%, he knows exactly the technical, the technique, the coaching point that he's giving, for certain. And then also, I mean, you just don't want to let him down. I mean, you don't want to get that look. You don't want to get that look, from Herb. I'm a 59-year-old man. I go into that weight room. I don't want to let Herb down. I feel it, and feel pretty good about myself when I leave that weight room. And he's one of those infectious type of coaches, personality. I mean, nobody gets hurt, and he infuses you with a syringe of positivity. Every time you go in there. So. Hard to put into words what he's meant, but it's, I mean, everything.
Coach, you're at the podium today, and someone was giving you credit for being in favor of the portal. I can remember us having a conversation 3 or 4 years ago, and you said you were in favor back then. What about the NIL? How can the coaches make that better? How can the administrators make that better?
Yeah, to be seen. I mean, let's do it. I mean, it's so early. It's so young, right? I mean, the Supreme Court just voted on it, right? I mean, 9-0 verdict. 9-0. I'm a student of the Supreme Court, but I think it's like been 10 or 20 years since there's been a 9-0 vote on anything. So it's here. It's working. Let it work, or give it a chance to work. There's no need to change that, and there's no need to change the portal. All the players I talk to, it's done far more good than it has any kind of negative. And what's wrong with a player and their family deciding where they want to go to school, where they want to go to college, if they want to go to a new college? It's their decision. Who's against that? What's driving the opposition for the young man and his family to make that decision opposed to somebody else.
And you made the great point today that all the other sports have been doing it.
That's why I think I came here 4 years ago and was the first one to say that the portal is a good thing. I mean, there's only 4 sports that can't: football, men's basketball, women's basketball, and I think the fourth was hockey.
I thought it was hockey and baseball. I thought there was
also. Yeah, it was 5.
I thought there was 5. Yeah,
I stand corrected. But I mean, there's 30 some, almost 40 sports collegiately. So just based on that alone, why not? What's driving the opposition for letting a young man and his family make the decision that they think is best for themselves and their son?
Has that changed your approach to recruiting at all, particularly when you talk about portal? Because you only have so much time to build that relationship. Has it changed the way you and your staff go about recruiting?
I just want to have a conversation with them. Somebody wants to on our team that wants to go into the portal. Just want to talk to them and understand, hey, this is your decision. I support you either way. Let's talk about it. Same if somebody wants to come into our program, and we've been really fortunate that guys have wanted to come to Michigan. I think it's a great thing when guys talk, I mean, your best recruiters are your own players, right?
And most honest.
And I talk to those guys. Coach, I'm talking to this young man. He wants to come here. Will you talk to him? Yeah, I'll talk to him. You like him? Yeah, Coach, I like him. I want him here. Then, I mean, I go by that a lot too. So that's the procedure.
Coach, talking about transfer and NIL, I want to ask about the CFP. You've had a chance to experience it now 2 straight years. We're going to see the expanded CFP coming up next year. Do you feel like we've landed on the right number? What's been your experience, and where do you feel? How do you feel about where it's going?
Feel good. More is more, right?
Is more better?
More's better. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, very few times is less more. Not a whole lot of times. A lot more times more is more. But yeah, only 4. Again, you'd have to probably go to what other sports only have 4 teams in a championship playoff. I don't know if any other that few.
No, far and away the smallest percentage. Yep. Yeah. So you like
looking
that?
Forward to it.
The guys were telling me about the Beat Georgia period.
Yeah.
When they were up here.
That got out. Yeah.
Yeah. Give us a little insight into that.
Hey, the cool thing is, it's like it took some months, right? To be the man, you got to beat the man. Ric Flair, who is a dear friend. Don't ask me to do the woo. I can't. we never.
He's really a dear friend.
He is for many years, dating back to the '90s. I was in his corner one time. Came out with the towel. Brad Muster. Remember Brad Muster?
Yes.
Great fullback out of Stanford. Yeah, we were corner guys for Rick, and it's been a friendship since then. But yeah, I mean they are the champion, and 2 years running, and speak it into existence. Maybe that's the way to describe it. That's what we're trying to do.
JJ, improvement. What does he need to do?
Just do JJ. Anytime, just do him. It's working. Anytime there's anything that you coach him on, any coaching point, then he automatically, he works at it and gets better at it. And there's no big head.
Right.
I just could not ever predict him falling into that deep, dark, lonely trap. So he's in a great place right now, best he's ever been. He's when you see him, he got his man year. El Natural, 10 more pounds, the baby fat's gone. He looks great. He's in a great place, throwing the ball, moving around better than ever.
That's great.
Blake Corum is here.
Yeah.
Getting him back 100%. What does that not only do for you as an offense, but as a team?
Or you pull it in this way or pull it down, whichever way you go. incredible. Predicted it. Really foresaw that that he was going to come back even stronger and faster and quicker than he was before the surgery, and he has. He's in a tremendous place right now in all those ways. He really thought it through. He trained. He attacked, and he's in a tremendous place.
Jim Harbaugh, pleasure to visit with you. Thanks a lot for your time. Congratulations on the last couple of
great
years.
Day, right? I mean, what a cool day.
Yeah.
Thanks you guys too. I mean, great football people, and given the opportunity for these youngsters to come and and talk and be heard. I mean,
They do a great job.
Yeah.
They really do. Had a ton of fun visiting with your guys, all three of them.
Yeah, they do a great
lot
job.
of fun.
Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Coach.